Chapter 598. The attribute light balls scattered and a screen popped up. Killed a mid-stage 5th level combat emperor. Accumulated energy, 39,400 points. The death of 2 combat emperors shocked all the combat emperors. Even though Lin Chen had used his secret technique, he had only temporarily stepped into the early stage of the 4th level. How could he kill 2 mid-stage 5th level combat emperors in an instant? Only those who were at least at the late stage of the 6th level could have such combat strength. In reality, Lin Chen was the only one who knew that such an outcome was perfectly normal, because this was the Blade Saint's famous skill, Mirror Moon, a high-grade purple-rank combat skill. In the entire Jiuzhou continent, there were only a handful of combat skills that could surpass this combat skill. Not to mention, Lin Chen had used the ultimate moment and 2 offensive talismans. Coupled with his pure strength and the strongest water calamity combat body, that kind of power didn't even give the opponent a chance to self-destruct. Rumble! 3 majestic light pillars crossed the sky and turned into a ray of light that shot towards the phantom doppelganger. It was the furious attack of the other 3 injured 5th level combat emperors. Mirror Moon, Mirror of Protection. The blade danced wildly. Rays of transparent blue blade shadows covered the doppelganger like a mirror. When the 3 rays of light touched the mirror, it was as if a ray of light shot out from the mirror. Not only did the ray of light not break the mirror, it was reflected back at the 3 combat emperors with an even fiercer momentum. It changed from soft to hard in a breath's time. What? When the 3 of them were shocked, they didn't have time to retreat and were blasted by the ray of light. That ray of light was accompanied by an all-pervasive water calamity combat chi. When it rushed into their bodies, all of their internal organs were shattered. Chi. Bang. Rip. Their flesh was torn apart and they vomited blood. In the midst of the shock, the 3 of them died with their eyes wide open. The 3 5th level combat emperors had perished. Were they killed by the reflected combat skills? What kind of combat skill is this? The 2 late-stage, 6th-stage elders who were being held back by Lin Chen's main body and the 2 doppelgangers looked at each other in shock. This combat skill was so profound that even in their Hun family, there was no skill that could be compared to it. The saber is like water, the saber transforms into a moon, the saber is like a mirror. Is this the famous ultimate skill of the Saber Saint, Li Chongxing, the bright moon mirror? This kid actually inherited the Sword Saint's most powerful skill in such a short time? The 2 of them sucked in a breath of cold air. They became increasingly aware of just how heaven-defying Lin Chen's potential was. It was enough to threaten the foundation of the Hun family. Boom! The sword light was as dazzling as a rainbow as it pierced through the heart of an early 5th-layer combat emperor. Lin Chen's other clone was unwilling to be left behind and killed a 5th-layer combat emperor. At this moment, the Hun family had lost 6 5th-level combat emperors. The remaining 2 were shocked and frightened. They didn't know whether to fight or retreat. Consuming 18300 talent points to activate Ultimate Restoration, Lin Chen's doppelganger returned to its peak condition. The consumption of Bright Moon Mirror was extremely high, and with Lin Chen's current foundation, he could at most use it twice before his battle chi ran out. Damn it, I'll fight you to the death. Go to hell. The 2 5th-level combat emperors rushed towards Lin Chen without fear of death. Their bodies were burning and their battle chi was releasing waves that could destroy heaven and earth. Lin Chen squinted his eyes. They actually wanted to self-destruct? For the true God in their hearts, they were willing to sacrifice their lives even if they were at the 5th-level combat emperor. Bright moon mirror, quick moon. Swoosh. The moonlight flashed and disappeared. The heaven and earth seemed to be illuminated by the moonlight for a moment, but it also seemed to disappear in an instant. The 2 Hun family's elders who wanted to self-destruct died with their eyes wide open. Attribute light balls scattered all over the sky. Dead. The two fifth-level combat emperors didn't even have the time to self-destruct before they were killed by the clone. His understanding and control of the bright moon mirror has reached such a level? The two Hun family's elders were trembling. They finally knew what ultimate attack speed was. Lin Chen's two clones and his original body were fighting the two sixth-level late combat emperors. It was as if they were fighting with their lives on the line. After exchanging more than 100 moves, the two of them were enraged. They brought out their trump cards one after another. Lin Chen's main body was beaten back and injured. His two clones each died once before they were reborn by activating the illusory runes. The three sixth-level combat emperors were delayed by Lin Chen and Qing Long Kuan, and the two clones joined hands and killed 8 fourth-level combat emperors in an instant. The attribute light balls were scattered all over the sky and were all collected by the clones. Obtained 175 points of fire element energy, 8,955 points of heavenly Tao, 11,000 points of talent points, 9,550 points of rune energy, 28,999 points of battle chi essence, 18,000 points of chi essence, 89 points of spirit. Host has opened 13 purple crystal treasure chests. Obtained 100,000 points of talent points, 100,000 heavenly Tao points, 50,000 rune energy, 15 rune stones, 1 talent combo frame. As the host has sufficient rune stones, the system has automatically upgraded the level 5 penetration rune, consuming 20 rune stones. Level 5 penetration rune. Able to penetrate 25% of the host's attack. It is suitable for all areas of the host's attack. The combat emperors fell. Excluding the 3 strongest 6th-level combat emperors, the remaining 15 combat emperors were all at the middle 4th level. All of them were top-notch experts, but none of them could last more than 15 minutes against Lin Chen and Long Kuan. Just as Lin Chen's 3rd and 4th doppelgangers were about to fall, a crescent-shaped saber light flashed past. The green-robed combat emperor's hair stood on end. It was the ultimate attack speed of the bright moon mirror. Rumble! The 8-colored energy finger and the dark thunder sky-piercing arrow worked together seamlessly. Before the speed of the moon mirror could be unleashed, it exploded and blasted towards the green-robed combat emperor. Being attacked from 3 sides, the green-robed combat emperor raised both of his hands and pushed forward. His battle chi surged like a raging flood dragon and condensed into 4 gigantic crimson serpent gate. Bang! Dark light surged and the 8-colored chaotic energy surged in the sky. A blade flashed past the crimson serpent gates and slashed at the green-robed combat emperor's right shoulder. The blade was as fast as the moon. The green-robed combat emperor didn't even have time to react. He subconsciously activated the defensive armor. Chi. Crack. The blade cut through the green-robed combat emperor's intermediate 7th-level low-tier soft armor. The green-robed combat emperor used his heart sutra to resist the remaining power. Suddenly, blood spurted out from his right shoulder. The green-robed combat emperor's pupils contracted when he saw the smooth cut of his right shoulder. Didn't he barely manage to resist the attack? Why was the attack still so powerful? The strangest thing was that the smooth cut of the combat emperor's bone had lost all its light. There was no sign of life on it. When one reached the level of 6th-level combat emperor, even if one's arm was broken, as long as one's arm was intact and reattached before its vitality was completely drained, there was a high chance that the arm could be reattached with the help of high-grade pills and battle chi. However, this attack had completely cut off this possibility. The broken wound and the vitality of the arm had disappeared as if it had been sucked dry. Level 5 Rune of Penetration is indeed powerful. As Lin Chen was praising the rune in his heart, a strong surge of vitality entered his limbs and bones. The system screen popped up. Fatal Bloodthirst has been successfully activated. 4,800 talent points have been consumed. 28% of the damage dealt has been healed. Chapter 599. This was the first time Lin Chen used the fatal bloodthirst innate skill. Lin Chen used the lifesteal healing ability to deal substantial damage to the enemy. The effect was extremely strong and immediate. Lin Chen's remaining injuries from fighting a late-stage, 6th-stage battle emperor were instantly healed by half. Lin Chen's main body quickly retreated and continued to let his doppelgangers use the ultimate moment and ultimate return to origin. After getting rid of the 15 battle emperors, Lin Chen's attributes increased crazily. At this moment, the 4 doppelgangers worked together to fight against the 2 late-stage, 6th-stage battle emperors. With the addition of the Blade Emperor's doppelganger, the battle became extremely intense. Long Kun went to assist the Azure Dragon. With 2 dragons fighting against 1 emperor, it was only a matter of time before the 6th-stage battle emperor with a broken arm was defeated. System, I want to register a combination innate skill. Register the ultimate moment and sovereign's descent. Lin Chen issued an order. In the treasure chest that was dropped earlier, he opened the second innate skill combo frame. This meant that he could experience the new function of the system, innate skill combo frame. A registration failed. The ultimate moment is not suitable for the combo frame. Host, please choose another innate skill. Lin Chen frowned and probed. Then, what about the fatal bloodthirst innate skill? Yes. Then let's just use the fatal bloodthirst plus super-dimensional teleportation. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. What he needed the most now wasn't combat power, but the ability to escape. If he could trigger the combo frame, he could use the super-dimensional teleportation twice. Innate skill combo frame successfully registered. Fatal bloodthirst, super-dimensional teleportation. Trigger condition. When the fatal bloodthirst innate skill is successfully activated, there is a 30% chance of triggering the combo frame. You can unconditionally activate the super-dimensional teleportation once. You can choose to teleport back to the marked location or teleport to the target of the fatal bloodthirst innate skill. Lin Chen was shocked. This was a little different from what he had imagined. Why could he only teleport himself after triggering the combo frame? Didn't that mean he couldn't bring Long Kun away? The fatal bloodthirst innate skill can only be activated after injuring the enemy. If I can't even break the enemy's defense, then I don't meet the conditions to activate the combo frame. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. It seemed like he could only end the battle quickly. Even if he allowed the clone to stall for time, as long as the 6th-level combat emperor wasn't killed, he would definitely be able to hold back Lin Chen and Long Kun. Once the 7th-level combat emperor arrived, it would be a fatal crisis. Let's get rid of this mid-stage 6th stage first. Lin Chen's eyes revealed an ominous glint. He continued to heal his injuries with the wood spirit essence art. With a flap of his purple phoenix wings, he transformed into a beam of light and shot out. The Dragon Emperor cooperated with Lin Chen. Seeing that he was about to launch a surprise attack, he released the Black Azure Dragon's domain and used his dragon power to delay and interfere with the other party's movements. A wisp of azure blue sword light suddenly slashed out horizontally, and it forced the gray-robed old man to go all out. His hand turned into a walking stick with a ghost head, and he shook the air. The skulls made of black fog that were tens of thousands of feet long crashed into the Azure Dragon sword, making cracking noises. Rip! Long Kun displayed astonishing speed, and with a swipe of his claw, 5 dragon marks shot out like a sharp blade. TSK. Bang! The moment the 2 dragons worked together to shatter the black fog skull, blood flowed from the corner of the gray-robed old man's mouth, and he retreated hundreds of steps in the air. Hunin, be careful! A cold voice transmission sounded. When the gray-robed old man realized that something was wrong, his spear slashed through the sky and swept down vertically. The moonlight turned into a beam of light that fell straight down. Style 79, Moon-Shattering Star River. Hunin, who had no time to prepare a defensive technique, activated his battle aura and counterattacked with his palm, forcefully resisting the spear. Boom! The palm print exploded and the moonlight flashed chaotically. Lin Chen was unstoppable. With the style 76, 1,000 souls break, one spear turned into 1,000 spears, and spear shadows rained down like a storm. A large number of heavenly tribulation battle aura spear shadows swept over, and he could not retreat. When he used his battle aura to resist, some of the spear shadows pierced through Hun Yin's body, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Fatal Bloodthirst has been successfully activated. Talent points consumed. Fatal Bloodthirst has been successfully activated. Fatal Bloodthirst had been successfully activated many times. Lin Chen's injuries had almost recovered, but Hun Yin's injuries had been accumulating non-stop. Sensing that Lin Chen's injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye, Hun Yin's pupils shrank slightly. This was an extremely terrifying thing. Imagine, the moment your opponent injured you in a battle, your vitality would be drained and turned into his recovery energy. The more the opponent fought, the stronger he became, but the more you fought, the more disadvantageous it would be for you. Successfully triggered a combination innate skill. Host can use combination super-dimensional teleportation at any time. After successfully activating the Fatal Bloodthirst many times, Lin Chen finally triggered a combination innate skill. This kid is already heaven-defying. Together with the two dragons beside him, I'm no longer his match. Since that's the case, I'll sacrifice myself for the true God. The gray-robed old man suddenly unleashed an extremely fast speed, and his battle aura exploded violently. Another high-level combat emperor who was about to self-destruct? He suddenly unleashed his battle aura, and it was as if tens of thousands of devil hands had reached out from hell. In the end, they turned into countless battle aura chains and shot out. He wanted to seal Lin Chen's movements and ensure that his self-destruction could completely affect Lin Chen. Swoosh! The battle aura chains hit nothing, and the gray-robed old man was stunned. What kind of secret skill was this? Disappearing without a sign? Chi! Puff! The sound of flesh tearing and body piercing rang out. Lin Chen appeared behind the gray-robed old man like a ghost. The 5 dragons' imperial spear had already pierced through his body, and he died on the spot. He didn't even have the chance to self-destruct, and he died with his eyes wide open. Before he died, the gray-robed old man still couldn't figure out what was going on. Although Lin Chen's speed was fast, he still couldn't disappear without a sign in front of a 6th-level combat emperor. Even when he used his movement skill, the 4th-level combat emperor could detect the fluctuation of his battle aura. It was just that he couldn't avoid his attack. Host used combination super-dimensional teleportation successfully. Target killed. 6th-level combat emperor. Accumulated energy 180,000 points. I didn't expect that the combination skill triggered by this fatal bloodthirst could be used in a battle through super-dimensional teleportation. It has truly realized the concept of teleportation. Lin Chen was excited. If it was a normal battle, he would have to cooperate with Long Kuan and Qing Longmeng for more than 100 rounds before he could take down the gray-robed old man. There was also a possibility that he would have to pay a certain price for the opponent's counterattack before he died. However, by using the super-dimensional teleportation to mark the opponent's body to achieve teleportation, the effect was 10 times stronger than a sneak attack. It was truly like a ghost appearing and disappearing unpredictably, and it was an instant kill. This innate combination skill, just the combination of 2 innate skills, was already so powerful. What about 3 or 4 innate skills in the future? Lin Chen didn't dare to imagine. However, although the innate combination skill was strong, the prerequisite to trigger teleportation was that Lin Chen had to be able to break through the opponent's defense. If it was a 9th-level combat emperor, then he wouldn't be able to use this innate combination skill. After taking away the attribute light ball and the purple crystal treasure chest that rolled down from the gray-robed old man, Long Kun rushed over. "It's time now, let's run. Let your clone cover us." Long Kun revealed an anxious expression for the first time. However, Lin Chen waved his hand and said with a smile, "No, Brother Kun, you take my clone and leave first." After saying that, a phantom clone withdrew from the battle. The Saber Emperor clone fought the green-robed combat emperor alone. A look of excitement flashed across Lin Chen's eyes. He wanted to kill these two late 6th level combat emperors. He wanted to annihilate the entire Han family. Chapter 600. Seeing Lin Chen's confident look and the fact that his brother didn't show any intention of leaving, Long Kun didn't hesitate. He only said be careful and retreated with his clone. The speed of the clone and Long Kun was quite terrifying. In 2 breaths' time, they reached the other side of the mountain range. That brat and azure dragon ran away. No, it seems like it's just a clone. The original body has the purple phoenix wings and didn't leave. When the two of them glanced at each other from the corner of their eyes, Lin Chen smiled. A late 6th level combat emperor was not an ordinary person. With Lin Chen's strength, he couldn't rely on his clone to fight a battle of attrition to kill 2 people at the same time. He had to have a strong enough attack. Even if Lin Chen used the 9 Tribulations star, it was still unknown. If it was just one of them, he might be able to kill them. However, if 2 late 6th level combat emperors joined hands, an early 7th level combat emperor wouldn't be able to kill them in one move. However, at this moment, Lin Chen had a technique that could surpass the 7th level combat emperor. Purple rank innate skill, Sovereign's Descent. The Sovereign's Descent had accumulated 180,000 points of energy. Compared to the last time when he used it in Dan Province, it had accumulated less than 30,000 points of energy. This time, it was 6 times more. Even an early 7th level combat emperor would die in the next move. Lin Chen's eyes revealed an incomparably strong confidence and dominance. The host has activated the Sovereign's Descent. 182,000 points of energy will increase the host's next attack. At this moment, the Saber Emperor clone used his movement skill to dodge the opponent's attack. At the same time, he threw the Elysian Moon Heavenly Saber towards Lin Chen's original body. Clang! Lin Chen's original body held the saber and let out a saber cry that turned into a dragon's roar. The Battle Chi Fate Wheel in his body rotated. The surging 9th Tribulations Battle Chi was converted into Water Tribulations Battle Chi and infused into the saber. The azure light illuminated the entire sky. The moment the original body held the saber, the clone's attack suddenly changed and he retreated. Each of them used a level 5 slowing rune that contained 120,000 points of energy. 2 grayish-white talismans exploded in midair, and their battle chi and space became sluggish and solid. Even with 240,000 points of rune energy, the level 5 delaying rune could only seal 2 late 6th level combat emperors for less than a breath's time. However, this was already enough. Bright Mirror Moon, a Speed Moon. Lin Chen held his saber and slashed horizontally. The entire body of the heavenly raising saber was revolving with a blue glow. The saber slashed horizontally. An array of blue moonlight was instantly extinguished. This saber was like a sovereign descending upon the world. This slash, from the prosperity of civilization to the fall, had happened in the time it took to unsheathe the blade and the moon to set. It was as if the world was illuminated by the moonlight for an instant. But no one could see this scene, because the moonlight was extremely fast. TSK. Fine cracks appeared on the spatial crystal wall. They seemed inconspicuous, but they created a vacuum zone that was extremely deep and fast. The eyes of the 2 late-stage LV6 elders of the Hun family gradually dimmed. Their battle chi and fate wheels were shattered into pieces. As their heads were separated from their bodies, they turned into dust and vanished into thin air. Nothing was left of them. Finally, a large number of attribute light balls appeared and floated in the void. The power of this saber had increased by 235 times. When Lin Chen used the sovereign descending upon the world for the first time, the power of his attack had increased by 1,000 times. However, Lin Chen was only at the 6th level of the Yuan Venerate realm at that time. The 1,000 times increase in power of a Yuan Venerate realm and the 235 times increase in power of a 4th level combat emperor were two completely different concepts and levels. There was a world of difference. The power of the sovereign descending upon the world was dependent on the host's cultivation. If the accumulated energy from the first activation was used on Lin Chen, who was at the combat emperor realm, it could only increase the power by 30 to 40 times at most. With the 235 times increase in power and the ultimate moment, it would be 244 times. Moreover, there was a 25% penetration characteristic. Not to mention the late-stage 6th-level combat emperors, even two early-stage and mid-stage 7th-level combat emperors would die. As for the late-stage 7th-level combat emperors and 8th-level combat emperors, it was unknown. The higher the cultivation of the combat emperor realm, the more terrifying it was. Lin Chen hurriedly removed the sevenfold transformation. Layers of weakness appeared in his body and his cultivation returned to the late-stage 2nd-level combat emperor. Lin Chen immediately swallowed a 7th-level medicinal pill, the void-transforming dragon pill, that he had refined in advance. As he quickly removed the weakened state, he issued an order. System, I want to strengthen the life growth innate skill to the highest level. Consumed 350,000 talent points. Blue rank innate skill. Life growth innate skill has been strengthened to 200%. It has reached the highest level. The weakened state brought about by the Azura sevenfold transformation was extremely serious. It had reached a level where the wood spirit essence technique could not be used to recover. He could only rely on medicinal pills and the self-healing ability of the innate skill. As he circulated his cultivation method to refine the medicinal power of the medicinal pill, the system's screen popped up. Congratulations to the host for instantly killing two late-stage 6th-level combat emperors. A special reward system has been triggered. You have received one orange crystal treasure chest. Boom! An orange light pillar immediately bloomed in the direction of the two fallen elders. It was an attribute light ball that only Lin Chen could see. It's here. The 4th orange crystal treasure chest. In the past, it was extremely difficult to obtain an orange crystal treasure chest. However, Lin Chen's experience could only be described as heaven-defying. With his 2nd-level combat emperor cultivation, he dared to fight his way to the far east region of the Divine Land and faced the top experts of the fake god families. Lin Chen had escaped death every time. The higher the opponent's level, the higher the chance of getting top-tier attributes and treasure chests. The chances of triggering a special reward system would also increase. Lin Chen couldn't suppress his ecstasy. His clone grabbed the treasure chest for him. Was it the God Slayer innate skill? Or was it the absolute life and death innate skill fragment? No matter which one it was a sure win. Orange crystal treasure chest has been opened. The host has received a quasi-orange rank innate skill fragment. Absolute life and death, 3/3. It has been automatically integrated and placed in the innate skill column. The strongest one-on-one talent obtained. Lin Chen had another trump card. Absolute life and death innate skill plus the God Slayer innate skill. If I summon a group of experts, it will no longer be a delusion to overturn the war in the spiritual state. Lin Chen was excited and his blood was boiling. While his clone was collecting the attribute light balls, his purple-golden eyes could see that the top experts of the Hun family had begun to return to the Hun family's territory. There were no less than 3 7th-level combat emperors. Received 15,000 heavenly Tao points, 290 lightning energy points, 360 metal energy points, 18,000 talent points, 350 wind attribute points, 14,000 rune energy points, 150 mental power points, 12,500 cultivation soul essences, 120 blank attributes. Opened 9 purple crystal treasure chests. Received 150,000 talent points, 100,000 rune energy, 250,000 heavenly Tao points, 1,000 blank attributes. Countless attribute light balls were absorbed into his body. Lin Chen's cultivation was getting closer and closer to the 3rd level combat emperor. After collecting all the attribute light balls, Lin Chen didn't run for his life immediately. First, he kept the 3 clones and the Dragon Emperor into his body. Then, he used the Azure Dragon Shadow to eliminate all traces of his presence. After that, he erased any traces that could be used to track him and rushed into the depths of the mountain range. In the end, he chose an ancient lake in the mountain range. It was more than 20,000 feet deep and plunged into it. Chapter 601. Lin Chen sank to the bottom of the lake and continued to maintain the Azure Dragon Mirage, like a rock at the bottom of the lake. Furthermore, there was an abundant amount of water energy in the lake. Lin Chen could use the Heavenly Imperial Ocean Divine ability to control the water to form streams of water to cover his existence, becoming his perfect cover. It was as if Lin Chen had completely disappeared from this world. As for Lin Chen, who seemed to have transformed into a reef at the bottom of the lake, he focused on recovering from his injuries and the weakened state of his body. Furthermore, his consciousness had infiltrated into the first illusion clone that had retreated with Long Kuan. Retreating with the illusion wasn't a coincidence, it was Lin Chen's deliberate plan. 15 minutes after Lin Chen dived into the lake, the sky above the world suppressing Saint Steel 47 cracked open and 3 powerful figures appeared. They were 3 7th-level combat emperors. They looked around and squinted their eyes. Their killing intent was awe-inspiring. Dead, all of them are dead. Other than the experts guarding the true god altar of the Hun family, all the combat emperors that were sent here have died. I didn't expect this kid to be able to finish the battle in such a short time. They couldn't even stall for time. Just like what the information said, he has the strength to kill a 6th-level combat emperor. No matter how strong he is, we have to chase after him. His aura disappeared into thin air at the battle site. Let's split up and act separately. Once we discover him, stall for time and inform each other. The various elders are also on their way. If they encounter an 8th-level Grand Elder, he will definitely die. The 3 7th-level combat emperors broke through the void and escaped into the space crack, each chasing after a different direction. Time passed. It had been 3 days and 3 nights since Lin Chen took away the inheritance of the world-suppressing Saint Steel. On the 3rd day, the top experts of the Hun family returned to their headquarters and quickly spread out to every region of the Divine Continent, conducting a thorough search. Lin Chen's importance to the Hun family had reached a level where they would not rest until he was dead. Since ancient times, no one dared to provoke the divine power, not to mention the Hun family, which was the strongest among all the fake god families. Scolding the true god, breaking the divine mountain, and provoking the divine might. These actions were things that ordinary people did not even dare to think about. Yet, he had done them time and time again. Regardless of whether it was his temperament, potential, or fighting strength, he would be the Hun family's #1 enemy. Therefore, other than a few Hun family patriarchs who were out on missions, basically all the top powerhouses had been mobilized. There was only one goal, and that was to kill Lin Chen. Firmament Tower, in a secret room somewhere in the main city. The champion of the Pinnacle Pill Assembly, breaking the divine mountain, scolding the false god, and still being able to escape unscathed. This kid is probably the last hope of the 9 prefectures. The black-robed figure sat on a chair and flipped through the information in his hands, clicking his tongue in wonder. Pagoda Master, should we help this kid? This kid isn't inferior to the prodigies of the sacred boundary. The graceful figure beside him bowed slightly and asked for guidance. Firmament Pagoda Master. Such a person was even more terrifying than the alchemy giants of Danzhou and the ancient fortune-tellers of Mingzhou. He was known as the most mysterious existence in the 9 prefectures. The number of people in the 9 prefectures who could meet him could be counted with one's fingers. No, now is not the time for us to intervene. Firmament Pagoda has been standing here since ancient times. It is the last symbol of civilization in the 9 prefectures. As long as Firmament Pagoda doesn't fall, the 9 prefectures won't be destroyed. No matter how monstrous a genius is, he is not worthy of us betting on Firmament Pagoda. However, it is still possible to provide some information and help. The Pagoda Master suddenly smiled and put down the jade slip in his hand. Pass down the message. Tell the inheritors of the world suppressing sacred steel that we know of. I think they will get along well with him. After all, he is the only one in the 9 prefectures who dared to provoke the false god since ancient times. Yes, Ing-Er understands. The beautiful figure nodded her head. Then, the Pagoda Master's tone suddenly became serious. I asked you to investigate the origin of that person. Did you find any information? When that person was mentioned, the graceful figure's body trembled. Her voice trembled with fear. No, the people we sent out are all dead. Ling Xiao of the 9th level combat emperor is also dead? The Pagoda Master tapped the table with his fingertips. Yes, and he was killed in an instant. No information was sent back. The secret room was silent. The two of them did not talk. Only the Pagoda Master's tapping on the table became faster and faster. Lin Chen, oh Lin Chen, you have really provoked an extremely terrifying person for the 9 prefectures. I don't know if he is a friend or a foe. Indeed, misfortune and fortune come hand in hand. The heavens have given the 9 prefectures a peerless genius that could overturn the ancient times. At the same time, they have also brought a person who could threaten the 9 prefectures. Pass down the message. Stop investigating that person to avoid a fatal disaster. Yes? The beautiful figure nodded her head. She took out a spatial jade slip and passed it to the Pagoda Master. Pagoda Master, this jade slip is a message from the Sacred Boundaries sect. A messenger from the Sacred Boundary is about to descend upon the 9 prefectures. The Pagoda Master's eyes turned cold. Is the Sacred Boundary going to save the 9 prefectures? Or is it because of that mysterious person? When the Pagoda Master tore open the jade slip, the spiritual information inside gushed out. After a while, he flicked his sleeves and sneered. A messenger from the Sacred Boundary. I didn't expect that they would come for Lin Chen, but they don't care about the life and death situation of the 9 prefectures. This bullshit messenger has nothing to do with my heaven's pagoda. The Pagoda Master smirked as he crushed the jade slip. During these 3 days, Lin Chen didn't stay idle. Under the lake, Lin Chen opened the system interface. Heavenly Path Possession System version 5.0 host. Lin Chen Cultivation. Late 2nd level Battle Emperor Realm. Intermediate Battle Chi Essence. 62. 33 million points. Limit. 1 million Dragon Power. Intermediate Blood Chi. 59. 12 million points. Intermediate Spiritual Power. 31,450 points. Initial Stage Ascension Realm. Intermediate Cultivation Technique Soul Essence. 168 million points. Intermediate Rune Energy. 312 million points. Heavenly Path Points. 346 million points. Talent Points. 335 million points. Intermediate Elemental Energy. 54,660 points for Fire Element, 49870 points for Earth Element, 47558 points for Wood Element, 51225 points for Metal Element, 119358 points for water element, 53350 points for lightning element, 53280 points for wind element, 41,500 points for light element, 43030 points for dark element. Cultivation technique status column, open bloodline status column, open passive talent. Green rank, reinforced iron bones 100%, blue rank, life force 200%, blue rank, divine power 75%, blue rank, emperor slayer. Active talent. Blue rank, God's Theft Omen, blue rank, Superdimensional Transfer, blue rank, Fatal Bloodthirsty Fragment, 2/3, purple rank, Final Moment, purple rank, Ultimate Return, purple rank, Sovereign's Descent, cooldown, 26 days, one-time orange rank, God Slayer, 1/3 of fragment included, quasi-orange rank, Absolute Life and Death, special rune. Slow level 5, penetration level 5, charge level 5, phantom level 5. Blank attribute points. 3,940 points, can be converted to any attribute points. Treasures points. Now that I have enough attribute points, I can try the fusion function again. Let's see if I can get a talent combo frame. Chapter 602. Lin Chen activated the fusion function excitedly. After tasting the sweetness of the combination skill previously, Lin Chen couldn't wait to get another 2 combo frames. System, I want to use 100,000 rune energy, 100,000 heavenly Dao points, and 100,000 talent points. Fusion. Boom. Ding. Fusion complete. Host has received Level 1 Battle Essence Rune. Rune energy can be consumed to quickly replenish host's battle essence. Cooldown, 30 days. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. What kind of lousy rune is this? Recovering battle essence has a cooldown? Compared to the ultimate return talent, it's countless levels lower. Decompose. Decompose battle essence rune. Received 80,000 middle grade rune energy. Lin Chen, again. This time, it's 200,000 rune energy, 200,000 heavenly Dao points, and 200,000 talent points. Boom. Ding. Consumed 50,000 heavenly Dao points. Fusion complete. Host receives green passive talent, dual cultivation. When interacting with a woman, host will receive battle essence feedback that can help increase cultivation. The degree of feedback depends on the cultivation of the woman. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. Damn. Why is this combo frame so hard to come by? And what's this combo frame? Dual cultivation? Isn't this asking me to find all kinds of women to dual cultivate with? How preposterous. System, what do you mean by this? Are you looking down on me by giving me this talent? I, Lin Chen, am the most handsome man in history, have an excellent character, respect the elderly, and love the young. I'm a good youth who promotes traditional culture. Am I the kind of beast who finds all kinds of women to have sex with and uses them to cultivate? Why would I do such a perverted and insane thing? Who are you looking down on? Even if you look down on me, you have to look up to me. Thus, the angry virgin Lin Chen accepted the dual cultivation talent with righteous indignation. If he accepted it, he would be a beast. If he didn't accept it, he would be worse than a beast. System. Then, Lin Chen continued with a serious expression. System again. Continue the fusion. Still the same 3 attributes, 200,000 points each. Boom. Ding. Consumed 50,000 heavenly Dao points. Assimilation complete. Host has received a passive green rank talent, Disintegrate. Another round of decomposition. Lin Chen gritted his teeth. F***ck, adding additional attributes only resulted in a low-level talent. The randomness of this fusion function was too great. Moreover, if this continued, his attribute points would not be enough for him to fuse a few more times. This time, other than the 3 attributes from before, I'll add another 200,000 cultivation technique soul essences. Then, I'll fuse all the cultivation techniques I have. Consumed 90,000 heavenly Tao points. Assimilated 79 types of purple low-grade cultivation techniques, 3 types of purple mid-grade cultivation techniques, 4 types of purple mid-grade cultivation techniques, 400,000 mid-grade cultivation technique essences, 200,000 mid-grade rune energy points, 200,000 heavenly Tao points, and 200,000 talent points. Boom. Ding. Fusion complete. You have obtained an advanced low-grade purple rank battle skill, 3-inch calamity. It can mobilize battle chi and condense it into the power of inch calamity and hide it in the meridians. Once activated, the power of inch calamity can be revealed. This time, it actually allowed Lin Chen to fuse a brand new battle skill. Moreover, this battle skill was as high as advanced purple rank. Throughout the history of the 9 prefectures, there were still very few advanced purple rank defensive combat skills. Unless one was a heavenly genius who specialized in the field of cultivation techniques, one had to be at least at the Saint Realm or above to create a combat skill of this level. There were perhaps no more than 20 advanced purple rank defensive battle skills in existence today. What a powerful battle skill! First, cultivate the power of inch calamity, and then fuse it into the limbs, bones, and meridians. Once in danger, once activated, one can immediately defend against a fatal attack. This is equivalent to preparing the strongest defense in advance. After carefully reading the description of 3-inch calamity, Lin Chen was shocked. Many experts died because they could not withstand the opponent's attack and did not have time to prepare their strongest defense. They could only temporarily activate their battle chi to defend and rely on their defensive artifacts to withstand the attack. 3-inch calamity was a defensive technique that was condensed in advance and hidden in the body. Once in danger, one only needed to think to activate their strongest defense. Even if they were ambushed, they could instantly use their best defense to protect themselves, as expected of an advanced purple rank technique. It is indeed amazing. However, this is not my goal. Lin Chen first kept the technique manual and then activated the fusion function again. I'm still in danger now. Talent points and rune energy are necessary attributes to use life-saving trump card. If the talent combo frame still doesn't appear in this last fusion, I can only give up. This time, Lin Chen's fusion attributes were still 200,000 middle-grade technique essence, 200,000 middle-grade rune energy, 200,000 heaven's path points, and 200,000 talent points. Boom. Ding. Fusion successful. Host has received. Lin Chen held his breath. This was the last chance. Host has received orange grade talent. God Slayer talent fragment, 2/3. F***CK. Lin Chen was so excited that he cursed. This was truly a case of unintentionally planting a willow and growing a shade. The long-awaited talent combo frame didn't appear, but a God Slayer talent fragment instead? This time, he fused a total of 5 times and used up a total of 900,000 rune energy, heaven's path points, and 400,000 technique essence. The first 3 attribute points instantly returned to more than 2 million points. Fusion was a gamble of burning attributes. Lin Chen didn't learn the 3-inch calamity immediately because it wasn't a technique legacy. He had to learn it from the beginning. Ordinary experts would need at least 10 years to learn it. As for Lin Chen, even if he used the technique essence, he would need more than 6 days. Moreover, the technique essence Lin Chen had might not be enough. After transferring his consciousness to his clone, Lin Chen opened his eyes a moment later. Very good, this is the best result. Brother Long Kun and his clone have successfully escaped and completely left the Hun family's territory. They have already begun to escape to the border between the barren state and the divine lands. During this period, he had been continuously using ultimate restoration to replenish his clone's battle aura so that it could maintain its best condition. The barren state was at the far east of the Hun family's territory. It was a vast and boundless continent where countless dire beast races gathered. The barren state was the largest in the 9 prefectures. Its total area was close to 2 big prefectures. Countless dire beast races lived in the barren state. As long as they escaped to the barren state, they would basically be out of the Hun family's control. The many powerful dire beast races would make it very difficult for the Hun family to search for them. Long Kun possessed the bloodline of the true flame purple phoenix. His flying speed was extremely fast, and he maintained the state of activating his bloodline. After escaping for 3 days, the top experts of the Hun family finally returned. At this time, it was already too late to pursue and search, even if the 8th level combat emperor were to attack. The most important thing was that Lin Chen's doppelganger could use the Golden Eye's twin life, which allowed him to detect danger and the location of the enemy's appearance. With this purple golden eyes, Lin Chen's doppelganger successfully covered Long Kun's retreat. This was the result that Lin Chen wanted to see the most because he wanted to use his clone to perform the super-dimensional teleportation. The super-dimensional teleportation could only fix 2 spatial coordinates. After Lin Chen erased the spatial coordinates of the firmament tower, there was only one left. It was the abyss near the world-suppressing Saint Steel 47. Therefore, he needed new spatial coordinate. As long as his clone arrived at the location, he would be able to set the new coordinates. If Long Kun was caught by the experts of the Hun family, he could also let his clone immediately set the coordinates nearby and use the super-dimensional teleportation to return to Long Kun's side and escape together. However, if that was the case, Lin Chen wouldn't be able to carry out his next plan. It would be best if Long Kun could escape successfully, because Lin Chen's next target was the headquarters of the Hun family. Brother Chen, I'm going to take down the headquarters of the Hun family and wipe them out. I'll kill as many of these bastards who were once dogs of the false god. Lin Chen's eyes revealed a ruthless attitude, as if he had nothing to lose and was not afraid of wearing shoes. He actually wanted to do the opposite? Everyone thought that he was running away. Who would have thought that he would dare to kill his way to the headquarters of the Hun family? Chapter 603. At this moment, the Hun family was like an empty city. All the strong warriors had left, leaving behind only the old, the young, and the disabled. When it came to these people, Lin Chen's respect for the old and love the young was something he was very good at. After recovering from his weak state and injuries, Lin Chen activated the Golden Eye's twin. After confirming that there were no strong warriors in the Hun family's headquarters, he jumped out of the lake. He continued to use the Azure Dragon shadow and flew towards the Hun family's headquarters like a transparent gust of wind. The Hun family's headquarters was hidden in the Cloud Saint Valley. It was said that this place was built by the Cloud Saint in the history of the 9 prefectures. Later on, it was taken over by the false god. Lin Chen hid in the air and flew. When he got close to the Cloud Saint Valley, it was like entering an endless sea of clouds. When he released his battle chi and mental strength to investigate, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. There was no movement at all. As expected of the Hun family's headquarters. It's quite mysterious. Even mental strength can't penetrate it. It's really a good place. Lin Chen shook his head and laughed. The Cloud Saint Valley had a huge amount of spirit chi, forming a natural protective area. Most of the combat emperors couldn't even find the entrance without special means. It was the best choice to place the Hun family's headquarters here. With a swipe of his palm, Lin Chen activated the Golden Eye's twin. In the endless sea of clouds, 2 secret passageways appeared. Lin Chen continued to activate the Golden Eye's twin and saw the situation inside the secret passageways. One of the secret passageways led to the Hun family's main hall, and the other one led to the back of the Hun family's main hall. What was very mysterious was that the 2 secret passageways were swaying and moving all the time. Lin Chen could clearly see that in the many pavilions and secret halls, there were countless treasures hidden in them. This was the foundation of the Hun family since its establishment, destroying the Hun family's headquarters. If this was in the outside world, ordinary people wouldn't even dare to think about it. Even in the Hun family, only a few knew about the headquarters. Basically, only the combat Emperor realm elders and the false god's descendants knew about this place. Not to mention what kind of powerful existence existed in this mysterious headquarters. This time, I'm going to dig out all the King dirt. They won't even have a single strand of hair left. Lin Chen, who had activated the Eye of Nine Tribulations once again, confirmed that there were no other dangers in the Sea of Clouds. He maintained the state of Azure Dragon Vanishing Shadow and eliminated all the aura in his body. Like a transparent wisp of wind, he jumped onto the second bridge of the Sea of Clouds and sped forward, directly choosing the secret passage of the Cloud Bridge that led to the rear palace. It was likely that no one from the Hun family would have thought that the young war emperor who had destroyed the true god's blessing ceremony would not only not run away, he would also sneak into the Hun family's rear and snatch away the saint's inheritance on the world-suppressing sacred steel. What was even more terrifying was that he, who had snatched away the sage's inheritance, had yet to withdraw, and he wanted to infiltrate the headquarters of the Hun family alone? Lin Chen's actions weren't just crazy. If outsiders were to know of this, it would be as if he had lost his mind. A second-level war emperor directly attacking the Hun family's headquarters? Even storytellers wouldn't dare to boast like this. At the end of the cloud bridge of the secret passage, there were 3 mountain peaks lined up in a row. On each mountain peak, there were 2 pavilions lined up side by side. In the middle of the mountain peak, there was a large hall that was entangled by countless chains. And on top of the 3 mountain peaks, there were actually beautiful female sculptures. Moreover, their delicate bodies were completely naked and had no signs of life. These are the women that were fancied by the 9 prefectures. Damn it, how many people has this bullshit fake god harmed? Lin Chen's eyes were burning with monstrous anger. When he thought of how Ning Qingxian would become like this in the future, he raised his hand and fiercely punched out. His fist wind transformed into a dragon. Chi! Bang! Lin Chen crazily punched all the way and shattered all the female sculptures, not leaving a single one behind. After these women were tortured to death, they were left in the world in the most desperate state. Furthermore, their naked bodies were placed here like works of art. It was a complete trampling and insult to their lives. Who dares to barge into the secret chamber of the Hun family? With a cold shout, 3 late 5th-layer elders of the Hun family appeared from the secret chamber. Lin Chen released his doppelgangers and superimposed the 5-fold transformation at the final moment, temporarily advancing to the late 3rd layer of the Hun family. Dogs of the fake god, you all deserve to die. With the spear in his hand, Lin Chen's battle-intent soared. The purple phoenix wings on his back flapped and Lin Chen turned into a ray of purple flame moonlight. What? The 3 elders were shocked. What kind of 3rd-layer combat emperor was this? His speed was terrifying to such an extent. Lin Chen and the 3 doppelgangers formed a circle in an instant. With the help of the Azure Dragon's profound Azure Dragon domain, the 3 late 5th-layer combat emperors were killed within 10 rounds. After removing the 5-fold transformation, Lin Chen kept the attribute light ball and went straight into the secret chamber without looking back. Between the pavilions, Lin Chen broke the door of the first secret chamber with a kick. Colorful rays of light came into view. This secret chamber was extremely wide. Various crystal cabinets were erected on the walls. Inside these crystal cabinets, there were countless rare ores and high-grade weapons. The lowest grade was the peak of the 6th grade. Most of them were battle chi and high-grade ores that were above the 7th grade. Collect. Lin Chen activated the spirit receiving ring. A silver light flashed and he failed to collect the ring. Space ripples appeared on the solid space crystal wall. Lin Chen squinted his eyes and threw out a punch. Bang! Rumble! The ground shook and the secret chamber shook. The fist that broke through the veins of the earth hit the crystal cabinets, but there was no trace of it being broken. There's a space enchantment. It's at least a 7th or 8th layer Combat Emperor's space enchantment. It's really hard. Without the Hun family's special method to open it, it'll be hard to break it with brute force. Lin Chen frowned. He didn't have the time to break all the space enchantments and take them away one by one. I think I can only break the space enchantment of 1 or 2 crystal cabinets if I use all my strength. There are still 3 more secret chambers. How long do I have to break them? Or should I just take the most precious ones and run away after snatching them? Just as Lin Chen was thinking about leaving and looking for the highest grade secret chamber to snatch the treasures, a thought exploded in his mind like thunder. F***ck. I'm too handsome. I'm so handsome that I've become stupid. Why didn't I think of this? With a flash, Lin Chen arrived at the first crystal cabinet. There was a quasi-7th grade weapon sealed inside. Lin Chen placed his palm on the space enchantment of the crystal cabinet. With a thought, he activated the disintegration function. Consumed 170 heavenly Tao points to disintegrate the quasi-7th grade weapon, Sky Billowing Cloud. Received 70 water attribute points, 300 talent points. It worked. The system's disintegration function could disregard the space enchantment and disintegrate the target as long as the target was in close proximity. Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. Oh my god, this feels so good. Damn it. Lin Chen, was going to destroy the Hun family today. One step to the stomach. Not only was he going to split the sacred mountain and destroy the ceremony, he was going to turn the Hun family upside down and destroy the Hun family's main hall. He was going to destroy the Hun family until there was nothing left. Chapter 604. System, from now on, break everything down for me. Don't stop. Whatever my finger touches, even if it's an ant, I will break it down for a few attribute points. F***ck. I want to F***king make the entire Hun family weak. Lin Chen clapped his hands furiously as he continued to loot. Every time his palm touched a crystal cabinet, the weapons and high-grade ores inside would be broken down into attribute light balls and absorbed into his body. His attribute points soared. The whole process was like a hurricane. He couldn't stop at all. Who cares if you have 10,000 years of foundation or 100,000 years of foundation? Today, all of them will become Lin Chen's attribute points. The system's decomposition function couldn't be used on intelligent creatures, and it couldn't be used on items that had an owner. However, the items placed in these secret pavilions were all treasures that the Hun family had plundered from various forces. They were used to reward and stimulate the development of the Hun family's forces. All of them were ownerless items. Lin Chen broke them down all the way without any hindrance. There were a total of 4 floors in this pavilion. Lin Chen broke them down all the way to the 4th floor. Above the 4th floor, there were weapons and weapons that were above mid-grade 7th level. There were even a small number of high-grade 7th level weapons. Other than that, there were even legendary top-grade 7th level ores that were hard to find even in 10,000 years. However, there were no weapons that were above the 7th level. Weapons of this level were rare in the 9 provinces. Even if the Hun family had them, they would be in the possession of the core members and the old ancestors. Moreover, the spatial enchantment here was even stronger. The spatial enchantment here was meticulously set up by 8th level combat emperors. Even Lin Chen couldn't break it in a short period of time. What was more terrifying was that Lin Chen activated his purple gold eyes and discovered that there were battle chi jade slips inside the crystal cabinet. They were made by 9th level combat emperors. If he forcefully broke it, it would trigger a battle chi explosion. The battle chi attack of a 9th level combat emperor might destroy more than half of the weapons and ores inside. At that time, even if he managed to steal them, they wouldn't be worth much. So ruthless. If it was stolen, he would rather destroy it than leave it to others. Unfortunately, the destruction of the spatial enchantment is the key to triggering the Battle Chi Jade Slip. I don't need to touch this spatial enchantment. He placed his palm on the surface of a crystal cabinet containing a 7th grade top-notch ore and activated the decomposition function. Consumed 3540 Heaven's Path points to decompose the grade 7 ore Waterfire 10,000 mysterious essence. Obtained 1500 Heaven's Path points, 1000 Water-type energy, 1200 Fire-type energy, 1150 Metal-type energy, 39850 Battle Aura Essence. Once the Tier 7 peak ores were broken down, Lin Chen gained an extremely generous amount of attribute points. There were 3 intermediate elemental attribute points that soared to 1000 points. This is too cool, ha. How satisfying. Decompose. Decompose. Break them all down for me. Even if he couldn't obtain these high-grade weapons, it didn't matter. Lin Chen broke them down and turned them into his own attribute points. When Lin Chen dismantled the last high-grade 7th rank weapon, the Selfless Sword, the system popped up a hologram. Congratulations to host for advancing to early 3rd level combat Emperor. Apologize to Brother Sword Spirit. 3rd level combat Emperor. From Li Changxing's world-suppressing sacred monument, he had decomposed more than 400 combat emperor corpses, experienced a series of battles with the Han family's emperors, and then decomposed the entire Han family's secret pavilion. Only then did he step into the 3rd level combat emperor. Rumble. Lin Chen smashed the wall with a punch and rushed to the 2nd secret pavilion. The efficiency of one person's decomposition is too low. System, activate automatic decomposition for all clones. The moment he issued the order, the 3 clones guarding outside immediately rushed into the other 3 secret pavilions. The system has synchronized with all of host's phantom clones, fully activating the decomposition function. The 2nd pavilion was a collection of medicinal herbs, medicinal pills, and countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures were stored here. Lin Chen's clones ran all the way. When their palms touched the cabinet, they engulfed everything and decomposed it all the way to the end. The attribute points couldn't stop soaring. The 3rd secret pavilion was a collection of cultivation methods and mental cultivation methods. From low-grade purple rank cultivation methods to mid-grade purple rank battle skills, and even complete mental cultivation methods, and 2 high-grade purple rank battle skills. Wherever Lin Chen and his clones went, they were like brothels, leaving nothing behind. Everything was decomposed. The 4th secret pavilion was a collection of alchemy handprints and high-grade dire beast cores. The lowest grade of alchemy handprints was mid-grade green rank, and the highest grade was a low-grade purple rank battle skill. Alchemy handprints of mid-grade purple rank and above were extremely precious. Even the fake god families didn't have the resources to get their hands on them. In the Firmament Tower, it was an astronomical number of firmament dollars. Every alchemy handprint scroll was filled with a high-quality mental strength attribute light ball. Because in order to record an alchemy handprint scroll, one needed to use a massive amount of mental strength over a long period of time, Lin Chen's avatar crazily broke down the scroll, not leaving a single scroll behind. There were hundreds of alchemy handprints in the Han family's library. Every scroll was a premium item, but Lin Chen couldn't take any of them away. When he first saw them, he felt that it was a pity. However, he made up his mind. Since he couldn't take them away, he would use the attribute light balls to take them away. Other than the alchemy handprints, the 4th secret pavilion also contained a large number of dire beast cores above rank 6. These dire beast cores were all premium items. There were 1,520 dire beast cores below rank 7, and 315 dire beast cores above rank 7. In terms of dire beast cores alone, it was equivalent to more than 300 combat emperors. Lin Chen decomposed them all. Not even a hair was left. Congratulations, host, 4 advancing to the mid-stage of Level 3 Combat Emperor. After decomposing all the treasures in the 4 secret pavilions, the amount of attribute points gained was unprecedented. Even with Lin Chen's terrifyingly strong cultivation base, he still managed to advance to the mid-stage of Level 3 Combat Emperor. He broke through 2 realms consecutively. This time, he had used up about 2 million Heavenly Path points just to decompose the treasures. If it wasn't for the Heavenly Path points from decomposing the treasures and the fact that Lin Chen had recovered nearly 1 million points, he would only be left with a few 100,000 points. Bang! Roar! The dragon's roar shook the sky. The battle outside the secret pavilion was in full swing. Damn it, what kind of dragon is this? When did it sneak in? What's going on? Someone invaded the Hun family's warehouse? All the elders just had to go out at this time. Damn it, even if there's an old ancestor, a mid-stage rank 7 dragon wouldn't be able to do as he pleases in the Hun family. Not good. Its dragon sword is going to slash at us again. Screams and wails resounded at the edge of the cloud bridge. The battle's momentum soared to the 9 heavens, shaking the earth and mountains. The elders of the Hun family had already started to arrive. However, most of these elders were below the 5th Combat Emperor. Even if a dozen of them formed a group, they would still be stopped and slaughtered by the Dragon Emperor. Have we been discovered? However, the top experts haven't returned yet. I have already emptied this place. There's only 1 secret pavilion left. If the 7th Combat Emperor doesn't come out, no one will be able to break through the encirclement. Lin Chen activated the 5th transformation again. This time, the cultivation of his doppelgangers broke through to the early stage of Level 4 Combat Emperor. The 3 doppelgangers immediately flashed out to support the Dragon Emperor, continuously blocking the attacks of the Hun family's experts. It's him? The brat who destroyed our Hun family's great true god blessing ceremony. Damn it, how did he sneak in? The outside world's natural fog doesn't have the Hun family's special method to enter. Even a 7th Combat Emperor could get lost in it. Looking down on the divine power. This brat is looking down on the divine power of the Hun family. We must implicate his family and capture him alive, cripple his cultivation, and make him kneel in front of the divine monument for 10,000 years to atone for his sins. When they saw Lin Chen's doppelgangers, all the Hun family's combat emperors seemed to have been injected with chicken blood and went crazy. They quickly rushed towards his doppelgangers. Chapter 605. The faith of the true God that they revered in their hearts was tarnished by this kid. For this, they wouldn't hesitate to give up their lives. The battle on the cloud bridge caused the heavens to fall and the earth to split. However, no matter how they attacked, the corpses of the combat emperors were blocked by Lin Chen's 3 clones and the Dragon Emperor like chickens being slaughtered. Even an early 6th level combat emperor couldn't break through. The elder of the Hun family was so angry that he even went hysterical. If it was in the past, any of the Hun family's supreme elders would be in charge. How could this kid be so presumptuous? However, the Hun clan's old ancestors with a cultivation base of 9th level had all left the divine province due to the mission given by the great true God. Even the few supreme elders with a cultivation base of 8th level were searching for this boy with all their might due to the true God's wrath. However, they didn't expect that this kid didn't run at all. They didn't know what kind of strange method he used to sneak into the headquarters of the Hun family. Moreover, he even sneaked into the most important forbidden warehouse. As for Lin Chen himself, he rushed towards the ancient palace at the peak of the mountain in the middle. He could faintly feel that there were some powerful auras and attribute light balls in the ancient palace. Swoosh! The purple phoenix wings flapped and he flashed into the ancient palace. The interior of the palace was at least 1,000 feet tall. There were chains formed by spiritual chi crystals all around, supporting an ancient altar. At this moment, Lin Chen's pupils shrank. What appeared in front of him was a jade-green spiritual stone that looked like a heart. No, it should be a jade-green heart? The jade-green heart was covered with jade-green veins that were pulsating as if it was alive. Behind the jade-green heart, there was a stone tablet that shot up to the heavens. There were even 3 simple and vigorous words carved on it: God's sealing tablet. As for the heart, there were energy chains wrapped around its surface. It was connected to the entire altar, and the energy core was connected to the underground. F*CK. Motherf*. Ker. When Lin Chen used the golden eyes twin to check it out, he couldn't help but curse out loud. This heart was absorbing the energy of the underground core of the divine continent. The spirit crystals in the world of the 9 continents were the currency of transactions. Spirit crystals originated from the spirit crystal mines. If the energy of the core of the continent was absorbed, the heaven and earth spirit chi would become thinner day by day, and the production of spirit crystals would continue to decrease. Every time the jade-green heart, it would absorb the spirit chi of the underground core. It's that fake God's doing. Is this what the Sage Realm sages said about using the 9 regions to heal? Lin Chen gritted his teeth. Suddenly, he narrowed his eyes. Inside the dark green heart, he discovered the light of an attribute ball. However, because the spiritual energy was too strong, he couldn't clearly see what kind of attribute light balls were inside. The energy contained within the dark green heart was simply too terrifying. Even if Lin Chen could forcefully absorb a portion of it, he would not have the time to absorb it. When Lin Chen turned to look at the towering stone tablet, the corners of his lips curled into an extremely disdainful smile. God's sealing tablet, what a God's sealing tablet! It extracts the energy of the divine land to heal itself, invades the divine land after it recovers, and calls itself a god on the spot? Lin Chen was so angry that he laughed instead. He spun the spear in his hand and waved the 5-colored dragon spear. The sharp golden chi shot out from the spear tip and carved ancient words on the God-sealing tablet. There's no need for a place like this to exist. I'll let you become a god. After today, you'll be a dog. Lin Chen's 5-colored dragon spear slashed toward the sky. He used the 79 style, moon-shattering sky river to strike the top of the hall. Bang! Rumble! Lin Chen struck out 5 times consecutively, and the entire hall was split open by him. The Han family battle emperors who were still fighting outside the cloud bridge were stunned. Isn't that the divine altar? Did that kid sneak in there? No. Mortal, you can't blaspheme the divine altar. That's where the divine altar resides. Many of the Han family's elders screamed hysterically. They saw that the great hall that had been split in half had collapsed. When the altar was revealed, the jade-green heart was also displayed before everyone's eyes. In front of the spirit god sealing divine spirit tablet. Behind the green heart, Lin Chen stood on an energy chain. He held the spear with one hand. His left leg was in front and his right leg was behind. He stood in a straight line with his toes touching his heels. The young man had a smile on his face. His posture was elegant, dignified, handsome, and dashing. He wore a pair of snow-white gloves and gently wiped his 5-colored dragon spear. He looked like a professional snooker player who was wiping his cue stick. He looked like a young man who was in love for the first time caressing his lover's arm. It was very light and gentle. Then, he lifted his hips and retracted his waist. His movements were very precise. He held the spear with his right hand and placed the front part of the spear between his left thumb and index finger. I have a gift for the people of the 9 provinces. The young man smiled. His smile was very handsome, very pure, and even a little flirtatious. Rumble! Dragon power exploded. He swung his pole. Lin Chen thrust his spear towards the jade-green heart. At this moment, all the combat emperors of the Han family were stunned. Their twitching mouths and dull eyes were filled with despair. The tip of the spear pierced through the green heart. Endless energy waves sputtered out. Rumble. The ground shook and the valley rumbled. It was as if millions of volcanoes were erupting. It was as if millions of dragons were dancing in the sky. They gathered in an instant and exploded. The green heart suddenly exploded with endless energy. A beam of light shot out from the center of the heart and shot straight to the 9 heavens. This beam of light shook the void and rushed out of the sea of clouds. It rushed out of the Hun family's headquarters and rushed out of the eastern region of the Divine Land. It rushed straight to the center of the Divine Land above the starry sky. Bang! The beam of light exploded. The earth-shattering sound was like a hurricane. It swept across the sky and fell from the starry sky. The moment the beam of light exploded, countless dazzling green lights fell like flowers from the sky. It was like a lotus flower that gradually bloomed and scattered to every corner of the Divine Land. It was as if millions of meteors bloomed in the middle of the starry sky. At the moment of the explosion, more than half of the Divine Land's trillions of people witnessed this scene. The beautiful green light scattered to every corner of the Divine Land. The green energy nourished the Divine Land and took care of the Divine Land's territory. Some people were on the verge of death. After being illuminated by the green light, they were injected with vitality and came back to life. Some people were stuck at the bottleneck for thousands of years. After a flash of green light, they broke through their cultivation on the spot. Some people were poisoned. After being illuminated by the green light, the poison disappeared. These were the accumulation of spirit energy that belonged to the Divine Land itself. Now, it was returned to the people of the Divine Land in the most dazzling way. The remaining green light in the sky slowly condensed into a large energy word. Indifferent to life and death is my attitude towards life. Fight if you are not convinced is my performance art. Lin Chen. Chapter 606. It's not over yet. It's time to show the people of the 9 states who is the most handsome man. Lin Chen laughed arrogantly as he thrust out his spear 7 times in a row. Then, 7 green light beams shot up into the sky from different directions. This time, the light beams shot across the sky toward the 7 continents. The last one is a welcome gift to the people of the spiritual state. Lin Chen gripped his spear with both hands and swung it horizontally. The spear smashed into the jade green heart. Bam! The most dazzling green light beam shot into the sky and dashed toward the spiritual state at an extremely fast speed. Bam! 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 Dark green light constantly exploded in the sky of 9 regions. Countless energy poured down and scattered in every region, and the majestic energy lingered to form a series of large characters. In the sky above the Ming state, many hidden masters and ancient fortune-tellers looked at the big words in the sky with interest or shock. In the heavens and earth, I am the most handsome man. Lin Chen. In the sky above the blood state, the green energy diluted the bloody and murderous spirit, and this continent that had been plagued by slaughter and chaos finally enjoyed a brief moment of peace. Many creatures stopped fighting after being nourished by the scattered energy light beams. When they looked up at the sky and activated their battle auras, the big words in the sky appeared. I bloom in the midst of slaughter like a flower at dawn. Lin Chen. In the sky above the cloud state, the rolling clouds were pierced through by the green light beams. Then, the clouds exploded, and the majestic energy rain decorated every inch of the continent. All the top blacksmiths, blacksmithing business groups, and top-tier battle Emperor Realm assassins looked up. The green light beams illuminated half of the sky above the continent. So handsome that the sky is the shore, and I am the peak of pretentiousness. The arrogant handsome man is waiting for you to beat him up. Lin Chen. In the sky above the quiet and lifeless island in the Nether State, a beam of green energy suddenly shot across the sky, startling many masters who were exploring the mystical realm. In particular, somewhere in the void of the Nether continent, An extremely powerful existence with a ferocious aura suddenly opened his eyes. When the jade-green energy beam exploded, the energy tide scattered across the land of the underworld region, illuminating the dark areas and revealing a few large words of energy. The Earth Core's energy is only suitable for firework. Lin Chen. Fucking fireworks. This sentence made the fake gods from outside the 9 regions feel their scalps tingle, and they gnashed their teeth in anger. Sky Continent was the most peaceful continent. All the sects were still busy teaching their own geniuses. At this moment, a jade-green aurora pierced through the clouds and fell straight into the sky above the Heavenly Book Academy in Tianzhou. It bloomed in the entire Tianzhou and attracted countless young geniuses. When they looked up at the sky, they could not help but be dazzled. It wasn't just the major sects in Tianzhou who were looking up at the starry sky. There was also an academy located on Lingyun Mountain in Tianzhou. This was the branch of Heavenly Song Academy in Tianzhou. In the school, a group of handsome young men and beautiful women looked up at the dazzling green aurora in the sky. The sly and quick-witted girl in red couldn't help but exclaim, "So beautiful! What is this?" The girl in red was Yu Linlin from Class 66. After not seeing her for more than a year, she had lost some of her youthfulness and gained an enchanting beauty that could bring disaster to countries and people. However, the quirkiness that was engraved in her bones had not changed. Such intense energy. It seems like it's going to explode? Yun Manqing, who was wearing a soft and beautiful long dress beside Yu Linlin, said worriedly. She was like a princess from a neighboring country who could topple a city with a single glance. Tianzhou has always been peaceful. Why is there such a huge energy fluctuation? A hint of confusion appeared on her cold and beautiful face. The beauty's appearance and temperament were otherworldly. She was like the bright moon that was quietly hidden on top of a snow mountain. One look at her would move people's hearts and make them confused. However, looking at her from afar, one could not get close. Many geniuses in Tianzhou knew that these beauties with unparalleled temperaments and appearances only had one person in their hearts. That person was the one who had created the heaven-defying legend, the one who had killed 2 emperors and the only student with an orange medal in the history of Heavenly Song Academy, Lin Chen of the spiritual state. Bang! The dark green aurora exploded. The powerful energy fluctuation startled countless powerful warriors in Tianzhou. More than 50 battle emperors instantly broke out of their seclusion and looked at the situation in front of them with shock. The beautiful dark green aurora was like a shower of flowers. When it shone on the earth, it nourished countless living beings. This is the energy from the core of the continent. Some old monsters of the Battle Emperor realm cried out in shock. To extract this level of energy, one had to be at least an 8th or 9th level Battle Emperor. And one alone was not enough. Why would such precious energy fly towards Tianzhou? When an even more shocking scene appeared, the citizens of Tianzhou froze where they stood. After the dark green aurora dissipated, a few words were left behind. My techniques were all picked up by me. Lin Chen. My techniques were all picked up by me? Everyone in Class 66 was stunned. Then, everyone's expression became ecstatic and excited. Yun Manqing even covered her face with her hands and cried tears of joy. It couldn't be wrong. Using the energy from the core of the earth like fireworks. In the entire Jiuzhou continent, only one person could do such a thing. That was the class monitor of Class 66, Lin Chen. The boys of Class 66 were ecstatic and shouted excitedly towards the sky. The girls hugged each other and cheered. Their faces were red and their hearts were throbbing. Class monitor is awesome. Ha! Oh my God! This is too exciting. Isn't Brother Lin Chen in the Divine Continent? Could it be that this light came from the Divine Continent? There are only things that we can't think of. There's nothing that the class monitor can't do. Class monitor Lin Chen is the most handsome person in the world. King of single machines, the most handsome person in the world. There's a traitor among us. Beat him up. Danzhou, as usual, was bustling with noise and excitement. A dark green aurora shuttled through the sky and an earth-shattering explosion shook the sky. The dark green energy surged above Danzhou's holy pill city, startling countless powerful warriors. Those alchemists who had been in seclusion for a long time, those who were hiding in the dark, and those who had participated in the battle all turned to look at the sky above Holy Pill City. Inside the energy waves, a few big words were vaguely visible. Who is the most powerful person in the Jiuzhou continent? Seeing me, Lin Chen, is all for naught. Lin Chen. Lin Chen. This name was too dazzling for the Danzhou continent. Now, he had used an even more dazzling, unimaginable method to make the people of Danzhou and the 9 states recognize him. Lin Chen. This was a moment that would go down in history. This name would illuminate the entire Jiuzhou continent. In the starry sky of the spiritual state, the battle emperors of the 2 camps were fighting when a dark green light beam shot over and exploded. Startled, all the battle emperors retreated at once. As the light beam shone down, the remaining energy waves connected into a series of big words. I'll be back. Lin Chen. Hovering in the void, the Vice Academy Master smiled. Okay. The entire spiritual state is waiting for you. In the altar of the secret pavilion in the Hun family headquarters, Lin Chen wiped the battle spear in his hand, feeling refreshed. This was probably the best and most satisfying billiard game he had ever played. The most handsome man would play the most awesome billiard game. The most powerful energy would release the most dazzling fireworks. The coolest young man would continue the craziest legend. Chapter 607. In the secret chamber of the void in the firmament tower. The mysterious master of the firmament tower suddenly opened his eyes. His sharp eyes pierced through the void and stared at the Hun family's territory. The pure energy hidden deep in the core of the earth veins came from the Hun family? Could it be? The master of the firmament tower flashed and instantly left the firmament tower. Somewhere in a small dimension, atop a divine mountain, a shrill scream rang out. Ah, damn it! Which piece of trash is it? My saint heart! Who is it? Which bastard touched my saint heart? In the darkness, a short and thin figure appeared faintly. His murderous aura was overwhelming. His eyes were like ghostly fire in the dark night. They burned faintly. His gaze seemed to pierce through the void and see the divine land. When he looked at the headquarters of the Hun family and where the god-sealing tablet was, the short figure shook his shoulders. His aura shattered the mountain and the space exploded. It's that human brat, Lin Chen? You again. You again. I've dominated the saint's world for countless years. Since when did a brat like you have the right to act so presumptuously? How dare you destroy my sacred heart? I'll destroy you today. The beast-like roar shattered the entire space. The short figure took a step forward, and his figure seemed to have moved. In the starry sky outside of the 9 states, several figures with auras on different planets or spaces opened their eyes and looked at him with shock and confusion. This is strange. Why did Elder Hun move? Didn't we agree to launch the attack after 200,000 years? Why did he move first? Something is wrong. Something happened to Elder Hun's family. Swoosh. Boom. Boom. Space cracked. A divine light containing endless heavenly might traveled from the starry sky to the sky of the divine land. The divine land fell into chaos as if the wrath of the heavens was brewing. Many people trembled. Many believers in the easternmost region knelt on the ground because this aura was exactly the same as the one that descended on the true God mountain that day. It was their great true God who was angry. It's over. The wrath of the true God is coming to the divine land. It's all your fault. Lin Chen, how could you provoke the wrath of the true God? The great true God gave everything to the Jiuzhou continent. Anyone who looks down on a true God Creator deserves to die. I am willing to sacrifice my life and pray for the wrath of the true God to kill him. In the dark easternmost region, countless believers of false gods were kneeling on the ground. The false god of the Hun family was going to forcefully descend upon the divine land. Even if he had to pay the price of increasing his injuries, he had to kill Lin Chen at all costs. At this moment, several presences that had been hiding in the depths of the 9 states quietly woke up. The underworld state, the blood state, the barren state, the bright state, and the spiritual state. Their perception locked onto the divine prefecture, Buzz. The 47th boundary suppressing sacred steel, which was located at the edge of the Hun family's territory, suddenly began to tremble. Thousands of light pillars began to shine from the boundary-suppressing sacred steel. A figure in a green robe stepped out of the pillar of light. His hands were behind his back, and his long hair draped over his shoulders. The scabbard at his waist had no blade, but its sharpness could shake the heavens. When he stood proudly between heaven and earth, his will, which was like ripples of light, spread throughout the entire 9 regions. At this moment, all the swordsmen above the Heaven Dipper realm in the 9 regions, whether it was Saber Venerable or Saber Emperor, had their swords bowed in the direction of the divine prefecture, emitting clanging dragon roars. This was the sign of the Saber Tao's submission. Countless swordsmen cast their shocked and fanatical gazes in the direction of the divine prefecture. In the 9 regions, there were 100 ancient sages, 3 sword saints, and only 1 saber saint, Li Changsheng. Even someone as powerful as the Tower Master of the Firmament Pagoda lost his voice in shock. Saber Saint Li Changsheng's spiritual will is about to make a move? In front of the boundary-suppressing sacred steel, the green-robed man stretched out his hand toward the sky. Bright moon, lend me a blade. Suddenly, a bright moonlight shone through the dark divine prefecture, illuminating the dark divine prefecture. Thousands of seas churned. Within a radius of 1,000,000 miles, billions of water elemental energy spun like the Milky Way and gathered in Li Changsheng's hand. He used the earth as the blade and the sky as the edge. Thousands of seas as the handle and the moonlight as the blade. The green-robed man wielded the blade with one hand and slashed diagonally. Moon Mirror Imperial God. This blade, the moon shone on the divine prefecture. The blade light was bright and transparent like water turning into the moon. The blade energy flashed across thousands of miles and soared into the sky. The short figure let out a hoarse roar. Damn you, Li Changsheng! Are you going to stand here until the divine prefecture falls, even in death? He suddenly clawed out a palm from the starry sky. His 5 fingers twisted with a dark green aura of life and death. A giant winged shadow that covered the sky above the Hun family spread out. It was like a falling star that shook the continental plates as it suddenly charged towards that peerless blade. Chi! Rip! There was no earth-shattering explosion or chaos. There was only a bright moon that illuminated the darkness. It easily tore apart the shadow of the giant wings and split the sky. Li Changsheng, Li Changsheng, I hate you. When I step into the land of the 9 prefectures, I will chew on your bones and drink your blood. The short figure in the dark screamed and turned into a beam of light that escaped into the void. On the horizon, a space crack that was as deep as the abyss appeared. To the left of the crack was the sun and to the right was the moon. It was as if the universe had been turned upside down. At noon, there was a vision of the sun and the moon. The brilliance of the moonlight overshadowed the radiance of the sun. Countless sharp auras rose from the divine prefecture. Those were the fluctuations of the battle chi of the swordsmen who had broken through the shackles. Countless swordsmen knelt on the ground. Hot tears filled their eyes. Boom, boom, boom. There were also 13 battle chi rainbows that were as bright as the sky. There were actually half-emperors who had stepped into the combat emperor realm? Senior Li Changsheng is indeed the bright moon of the 9 regions Saber Tao. The tower master of the firmament pagoda, who was far away, was shocked. All the swordsmen who had witnessed this saber had broken through in different areas. There were even 13 half-step combat emperors who had broken through to the saber emperor realm. The charm, power, and truth of the saber Tao of this saber had created 13 saber emperors in the divine prefecture. The countless believers of the false god stared blankly at this scene. The great true god was forced to retreat by this saber. The man in green placed his hands behind his back and laughed loudly. Ah! Since the heavens have given birth to me, Li Chongqing, the saber Tao is as bright as the moon. As the laughter faded away, the man in green disappeared. The light of the world suppressing sacred steel dimmed, and was about to disappear. Inside the altar of the Hun family's headquarters, all the combat emperors of the Hun family who had rushed over to provide support were stunned. They had witnessed with their own eyes that the green heart had been pierced by Lin Chen with just a few spear strikes. When the dark green heart disappeared, the tall god sealing tablet appeared. At this moment, the god sealing tablet had lost its pretentious supreme divine aura. All that was left was a sharp and murderous spear intent. In front of the god sealing tablet stood a young man in a silver robe with the 5-colored dragon spear in his hand. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. He did not hide his overbearing arrogance at all. The god sealing tablet behind him was only left with a series of bold and ancient words. The god sealing tablet is engraved on Lin Chen. With me, Lin Chen, there is no god. At this moment, a new era had begun in the history of the 9 regions. Chapter 608. Retrieving the Golden Eyes twin, Lin Chen's heart was surging with endless respect. Senior Li Chongqing is indeed the only sword saint in the ancient times. Then, Lin Chen turned to look at the broken green heart. Now that the energy was gone and the energy chain was broken, the energy from the core of the continent had returned to the ground. It wouldn't be easy to extract it again. Lin Chen smashed the broken green heart with his spear. An orange light pillar suddenly bloomed and shone. 2 treasure chests inlaid with orange crystals floated in the air. Lin Chen's mouth was wide open as he stood there in a daze. What King Great Fortune! The attribute light ball inside the green heart was actually an orange crystal treasure chest. And there were 2 of them? Killing the Hun family's headquarters is really a great fortune. Lin Chen was ecstatic. Whether it was destroying the fake saint heart that extracted the energy from the core of the continent, raiding the Hun family, or these 2 orange crystal treasure chests, they were all great rewards. Opened orange crystal treasure chest. Obtained, one-time use, orange talent, God Slayer fragment 4/3. Opened orange crystal treasure chest. Obtained, 1 talent combo frame. God Slayer fragment. Talent combo frame. The treasures from orange crystal treasure chests never disappointed Lin Chen. 2 God Slayer talents. Now I can use God Slayer talents twice and absolute life and death. That's enough. Now I have enough strength to fight back to the spiritual state. Lin Chen's eyes bloomed with overbearing killing intent. Maybe he could accumulate and enter the firmament tower for a while and grow stronger. However, Lin Chen was worried about the spiritual state and Bai Ruoyan. He couldn't wait any longer. The smell of blood filled the air and bones of emperors were everywhere. The combat emperors of the Hun family, who came to help, were only left with 2 mid-stage 6th-level combat emperors. Lin Chen of the spiritual state. You're courting death. A thunderous roar resounded through the sky. A middle-aged man with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes stepped on the sky. He was the mid-stage 7th-level sword emperor of the Hun family. He was the elder who had left the Hun family's territory to search for Lin Chen. He was the closest 7th-level combat emperor. He was in charge of the warehouse of the Hun family's forbidden grounds. After something happened to the Hun family's secret pavilion, he immediately returned. At the moment he returned to the Hun clan, he was both shocked and furious. He'd truly never imagined that this kid would actually still be here. He had destroyed the sacred mountain and snatched the sacred tablet's inheritance. All the experts of the Hun family had agreed that his goal was the sacred tablet. Even when they wanted to hunt him down and kill him, he was still able to create a diversion. When he saw the words Lin Chen carved on the god's sealing tablet and the broken jade green heart, the Sword Emperor Elder was completely enraged. A Sword Emperor in the middle of the 7th stage. His strength might be close to a War Emperor in the late 7th stage. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. Even though his cultivation had increased greatly, and his attributes had soared by a huge wave, facing an opponent that was close to the late 7th stage, even if Lin Chen brought out all of his clones, it would still be very difficult for him to fight head-on. Moreover, he had no reason to continue staying here. Clang! The Hun clan's sword sovereign unsheathed his sword and let out a dragon's roar. 6th transformation, ultimate moment. Lin Chen's cultivation advanced to the middle of the 4th stage like a hot knife through butter. He kept his battle spear, and the battle chi and 9 tribulations origin in his body rapidly decreased. Crimson Cloud Sword. The sword edge swung rapidly, and the sword chi slashed vertically. It turned into a rolling crimson cloud and slashed down furiously, illuminating the entire Hun clan's headquarters in the sea of clouds. It was as if the sun had set before dusk. Hun clan's lackey, try this! Lin Chen suddenly shouted coldly. 9 colored lights circulated in his palm like stars shining brightly. 2 offensive talismans were activated, and Lin Chen threw it out. The 9 tribulations star was like an extremely small meteor, crashing into the crimson cloud rainbow that spanned across the sky. Feeling the destructive waves that burst out from the remaining 2 6th stage combat emperors retreated rapidly as if they had seen a ghost. The clones covered the Dragon Emperor's retreat. Above the Hun clan's forbidden grounds, the crimson cloud rainbow suddenly exploded. Chi! Rumble! The crimson cloud rainbow was smashed into pieces by the 9 tribulations star that fell from the sky like a meteor. The Sword Emperor of the Hun clan's expression changed drastically. What kind of ultimate skill is this? Such a terrifying combat skill was unheard of. Not to mention that it was executed by a young man who had not even reached the 5th stage combat emperor. The 9 tribulations star crashed into the Sword Emperor of the Hun clan. When it exploded, it dispersed a 9-colored light pillar. The 9-colored light pillar swallowed the sea of clouds, and the dark fog dissipated. The light pillar continued to expand, and the center of it revolved with an energy wave that could destroy all living things. Even Lin Chen himself did not dare to get too close. Compared to the last time when he used the 9 tribulations star, the 9 elemental attributes were only slightly more than 20,000 points. But now Lin Chen's elemental attributes, other than the light and darkness attributes which were at 70,000 points, had all exceeded 90,000 points. His water attribute had reached an unimaginable 14,000 points. With this value, coupled with Lin Chen's explosive increase in cultivation and the level 5 penetration talisman, the power of the skill had increased by a few times. When the 9-colored light pillar dissipated, a figure in a sorry state retreated from it. His body was covered in blood, and it was a ghastly sight. The Sword Emperor's right arm was missing, and his sword was damaged. There was a fist-sized wound on his left abdomen, and there were several jade-green emperor bones on his body. It was as if he had 1 foot in the gates of hell. You have such strength at such a young age. If you advance to the 8th or 9th stage combat emperor, wouldn't you be invincible among the combat emperors? The Sword Emperor of the Hun clan was furious and shocked. Rip! The purple moonlight swirled, and a fist wind violently hit the top of his head. The Sword Emperor of the Hun clan only used 1 arm, and with a backhand, he unleashed 5 sword chi. Bang! Rumble! The fist and palm collided, and an energy mushroom cloud exploded in the sky. Lin Chen's arm cracked, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Even though the Sword Emperor of the Hun clan was severely injured, the 7th stage Combat Emperor's cultivation was still a huge gap in front of Lin Chen. However, he had achieved his goal. Consumed 4,950 talent points. The Divine Stealing Omen has been successfully cast. Stolen from the target. 5,000 intermediate metal energy points. The Azure Dragon turned into a beam of dragon light and entered Lin Chen's body. A few of his doppelgangers used their movement techniques and took away the attribute light ball dropped by the Sword Emperor of the Hun clan. I gained 5,000 metal energy points in one go. It's worth it. It's time to go. Super-dimensional teleportation. Just as the Sword Emperor of the Hun clan was about to fight to the death with Lin Chen, a bright light flashed above Lin Chen's head. When the light shone down, Lin Chen disappeared in an instant. What? The Sword Emperor of the Hun clan was stunned. When he released his battle chi to check the surroundings, he couldn't sense Jiang Chen's aura. The two 6th-stage combat emperors who were lucky enough to survive were the same. They were dumbfounded. Damn it, that kid ran away again. Find him. He might still be nearby. The Sword Emperor of the Hun clan roared. One day later, 7 figures stood in front of the God Sealing Tablet. When the Supreme Elders of the Hun clan saw the emerald green heart that exploded into a pile of fragments, they fell into a strange silence. Especially the sentence on the God Sealing Tablet, "With me, Lin Chen, there will be no gods." It made the Supreme Elders of the Hun clan so angry that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. However, no one dared to move. Chapter 609. No matter how angry the higher-ups of the Hun family were, they didn't dare to touch the God Sealing Tablet. This was because it was left behind by the great true God of the Hun family. They weren't qualified to touch it. Pass down my order. From today onwards, the entire family is not allowed to cultivate in seclusion. Summon all the battle emperors of the branch families to hunt down Lin Chen of the spiritual state with all their might. A late-stage level 8 Hun family elder shouted. The Hun family, which had been silent for tens of thousands of years, was about to come out. This was a vast and boundless world. Looking at it with the naked eye, it was as if there was no end to it. There were towering mountains that were tens of thousands of feet tall and towering ancient trees that covered hundreds of acres of land. They had lived for hundreds of thousands of years and were like vast rivers that spanned across the galaxy. Red phoenixes soared in the sky, their eyes flashing with flames. In an ancient and dilapidated valley, some ferocious beast skeletons were still flowing with ferocious energy even after their death. The air in all directions was distorted. Near the river, giant beasts that were hundreds of feet tall exuded a majestic aura. They lowered their heads to drink water and were vigilant of their surroundings. This place was filled with a primitive and desolate aura. This was the barren state. It was the largest land in the Jojo continent and was the territory of countless ferocious beasts. There was a towering tree that stood nearby. It was faintly flowing with a strong ferocious energy that frightened all the high-level ferocious beasts within thousands of miles. Roar! The sound waves were like tides, shattering everything. Ferocious winds swept up within thousands of miles. The earth veins cracked and the spatial crystal walls destroyed countless living beings. Some low-level ferocious beasts were smashed into dust by the roar. I didn't expect that I would be able to open the 600,000 dragon veins after a series of high-intensity battles and escape. I have advanced into the category of high-level level 7 ferocious beasts. The low and muffled roar was filled with joy. In the ancient tree, an azure dragon revealed its vast dragon body. Even though it had shrunk in size, its aura was still ferocious and ferocious. Long Kuan, who was escaping for his life. When Long Kuan turned to look at Lin Chen, who was sitting cross-legged on the side, the joy in his heart was reduced by half. Compared to himself, this human youth, who had inherited the inheritance of his previous Azura master, was the true heaven-defying one. When he had first met Luo Yunyang, he had only been a 9th-level Yuan Venerate. Long Kuan had followed him from the inner part of the firmament tower. Long Kuan had seen his improvement. It was not an exaggeration to say that his improvement was unprecedented. Now, even a 6th-level combat emperor would fall if he encountered him. Under the 7th-level combat emperor, he was almost invincible. What a terrifying kid. Based on his growth, I'm afraid he'll be invincible under the Saint Realm in another 10 years. Long Kuan exclaimed in his heart. Compared to such a legendary figure, his improvement was truly insignificant. At this moment, Lin Chen was immersed in the system. Heavenly Tao Possession System version 5.0 Host. Lin Chen Cultivation, Mid-3rd Level Battle Emperor Realm, Mid-Grade Battle Chi Essence, 108, 93 million points. Maximum Strength, 395 million. Dragon Power, Divine Force, 4, 99 million. Intermediate HP, 95, 6 million points. Intermediate Spiritual Power, 40,500 points. Early Stage of the Heavenly Arrival State. Intermediate Cultivation Method Soul Essence, 5, 69 million points. Intermediate Rune Energy, 966 million points. Heavenly Tao Points, 5, 96 million points. Talent Points, 8, 55 million points. Intermediate Elemental Energy. Fire Element 94,660 points, Earth Element 88,870 points, Wood Element 86,458 points, Metal Element 101,225 points, Water Element 153,358 points, Lightning Element 98,850 points, Wind Element 89,280 points, Light Element 71,860 points, Dark Element 79,030 points. Cultivation Method Status Column, Open. Bloodline Status Column, Open. Passive Innate Skills. Green Rank, Reinforced Iron Bones 100%, Green Rank, Dual Cultivation Acacia. Blue Rank, Life Increase 200%, Blue Rank, Divine Force 75%, Blue Rank, Emperor Slayer Active Innate Skills. Blue Rank, Stealing Omen. Blue Rank, Super Dimensional Teleportation. Blue Rank, Fatal Bloodthirst. Purple Rank, Ultimate Moment. Purple Rank, Ultimate Return. Purple Rank, Sovereign's Descent. Cooldown, 23 days. One-time use. Orange Rank, God Slayer X2, Fragment 1/3, Quasi-Orange Rank, Absolute Life and Death. Attribute Rune. Slow Level 5, Penetration Level 5, Recharge Level 5, Phantom Level 5, Innate Skill Combination Skill, Fatal Bloodthirst, Super Dimensional Teleportation. Blank Attribute, 9,540 points, can be converted to any attribute. Treasures. It would not be an exaggeration to use the word terrifying to describe the attribute points he had gained this time. Lin Chen, who had decomposed the Hun family's foundation, had rune energy close to 10 million points. His innate skill points had exceeded 8 million points. System, I want to use the third innate skill combination box. Lin Chen's heart was filled with excitement. Register the third innate skill. Sovereign's Descent. Registration successful. Innate skill combination skill. Fatal Bloodthirst. Super Dimensional Teleportation. Sovereign's Descent. If the combination skill is triggered, there is no shared cooldown and it can be used immediately. Originally, Lin Chen had planned to register the Absolute Life and Death talent. However, this innate skill was playing with his life. He was burning his life, battle chi, vitality, and spiritual power to fight. Only by killing the target would he be able to recover all of this and remove the innate skill status. This innate skill was simply too dangerous. He hadn't used it before, so who knew what kind of consequences it would bring? If he rashly registered it, he might even lose his life. Lin Chun had the ability to decide which innate skill to use after triggering the combination skill. However, he didn't dare to use absolute life and death rashly. Registering this innate skill was equivalent to locking the third innate skill combination box. Rather than that, he might as well register the safest and most practical Sovereign's Descent. If it ignores the cooldown, it means that the Sovereign's Descent that could only be used once a month before can be used unconditionally as long as the innate skill combination skill is triggered. Lin Chun was even more confident now. Damn it, in the future, when there was a group battle, he would be the first to rush to the front. With the Sovereign's Descent talent in hand, he would just have to fight to the death. What a pity! I can't register a one-time innate skill. Otherwise, if I register as a God Slayer, I, Lin Chun, would be free to roam the Jiuzhou continent to the end. Lin Chun sighed. The God Slayer innate skill was something he loved and hated at the same time. System enhanced the Divine Force innate skill to 100%. Consumed 400,000 innate skill points. Enhanced the Divine Force innate skill, 100%. Boom. Lin Chen's pure strength was originally 3.95 million dragon power points, and the 75% divine power points buff was 4.99 million. Now it had reached 5.05 million dragon power points. Blank attribute convert to spiritual force. This time, the 9,540 blank attribute points that Lin Chun had obtained from the decomposition process had all been converted into a middle-grade spiritual force, causing his spiritual force to break through 50,000 points. His spiritual force at the early stages of the heavenly completion realm was already close to breaking through the bottleneck of the middle grade. It's time to set off. I'll have to face all the ancient families in the spiritual state, and I don't have enough rune energy no matter how high it is. For now, I won't activate the fusion function and rely on luck. Lin Chun abruptly opened his eyes, and a bolt of lightning flashed through them. His current strength was no longer the same as before, but in terms of one-on-one combat, he could only fight against an early 7th stage combat emperor. Perhaps if all of his clones focused their attacks, he would be able to fight against an intermediate 7th stage combat emperor. However, facing those above the late stage of the 7th level of the War Emperor, he still had to use the level 5 slow rune, or 9 tribulation star, to contend against them. Thus, he could not use his rune energy recklessly. Kid, are you done? Long Kun raised his head and asked. Lin Chen withdrew the fierceness between his eyebrows and chuckled. No problem. Let's go, we'll set off for Danzhou. Set off for Danzhou. The last step before returning to the spiritual state was to call for reinforcements. Whoever was more powerful would call for reinforcements. Chapter 610. In the past 7 days, the entire barren state was in chaos. All the major beast clans were so shocked that they sent out 7th-grade beasts to investigate, but none of them returned. Either that or they were beaten to a pulp. Unknowingly, there was a rumor circulating in the barren state. There was a young human and 2 azure dragons. Wherever they went, not even a single blade of grass was left. This human and 2 dragons even looted the warehouses of many beast clans and the herb gardens that specialized in cultivating heavenly treasures. In the end, the super first-grade beast clans in the barren state started to send out experts to investigate. Only then did this human and 2 dragons completely disappear. On the other hand, the Divine Land was in chaos. The Hun family officially announced to the world that they were officially wanted. Lin Chun of the spiritual state. If anyone could capture or kill him, they could bring his head to the Hun family to receive a top-grade high-grade purple combat skill, a top-grade 7th-grade weapon, and a top-grade 7th-grade elixir. This reward shocked the entire Divine Land. Each reward was enough to make a 7th-grade combat emperor and above want to take action. On the 10th day of the Hun family's incident, in the backyard of the Yang family's residence in the Dan state. Young mistress, leave quickly. Long Ao is coming with his men. In the backyard, a few personal maids hurriedly pulled Yang Qinger, who was wearing a snow-white robe, and flew out of the backyard. But, if I leave, what will happen to father and the others? Yang Qinger was burning with anxiety as she said. This is the master's intention. He said that young mistress already has a sweetheart, so there is no need to let you go and suffer. One of the maids who pulled Yang Qinger away turned around and said. Yang Qinger's heart felt warm. However, it was because her father cared about her that she did not want to make things difficult for him. This Long Ao's ancestor was from the Azure Dragon clan in the Barren State. He himself had the Azure Dragon bloodline and was one of the top geniuses in the Dan state. He was only 7,000 years old, but he was already a third-grade combat emperor. He was a genius that would be recorded in the history books. By chance, Long Ao fell in love with Yang Qinger at first sight. His attitude was firm, and he came to propose marriage several times. Today, he even came with 8 dragon palanquins to take Yang Qinger into his family. Not only was this person extremely talented, but the power behind him was also terrifying. Not only was it an ancient family, but also the Dragon clan. Even though the Yang mansion was also an ancient family, they did not dare to offend him. Yang Qinger waved her sleeves and instantly released the maidservant's hand. She turned and flew back, causing the maidservant's expressions to change slightly. What's wrong, Miss Qinger? Suddenly, the young man's puzzled voice made Yang Qinger happy. When she turned her head back, Lin Chen was sitting on Long Kuan's dragon back, floating behind Yang Qinger. Upon seeing Lin Chen, Yang Qinger seemed to have found her pillar of support. She started to cry pitifully. Prince Lin Chen, our young manor is in big trouble. Can you help us? Lin Chen's expression changed. The Yang residence was in big trouble? How could he, Yang Zhuanfeng, just stand by and watch? It's fine. No matter how big the trouble is, it won't be a problem. Leave it to me. In the Yang Mansion's main hall, the faces of the Yang Mansion's upper echelons turned ugly. Cut the crap. Today, he would either let Qinger get on the dragon sedan chair. I, your father, will personally welcome her. Otherwise, I, your father, will tear down your lousy residence. A burly young man waved his hand fiercely. He was wearing a dragon robe and had a saber at his waist. His evil aura was overflowing. His cultivation was actually at the early 3rd level of the Combat Emperor realm. His age was also considered to be extremely young in the Combat Emperor realm. It was Long Ao. Everyone in the Yang residence, the few dragon ancestors behind us also want to see the alchemy level of our future granddaughter-in-law. I hope that everyone can help us, right? At this time, 2 black-robed old men laughed. The chi in their body faintly revealed that they were both at the early 6th level of the Combat Emperor realm. Their tone did not hide their unwillingness to back down. Moreover, they had already made it clear to the dragon ancestors behind them, the experts of the dragon race. Although the patriarch of the Yang family was calm, his expression showed that he was in a dilemma. I didn't expect to see such a wonderful scene when I just came here. This patriarch of the Yang family is also a man who values relationships and righteousness. Just like the ancient families, there were many who married their daughters off for benefit. He actually planned to protect his daughter. The experts of the dragon race are not to be trifled with. Those guys are also a group of lunatics, second only to the Azura clan in the ancient times. Even if the Yang residence is a family of alchemists in the Dan region, they still have to think twice. In the corner of the hall, there was a group of people calmly looking at the situation of the Yang residence. Among them, there were some 5th-level combat emperors, some 6th-level combat emperors, and there were even a few 7th-level combat emperors. In the corner, there were 2 gray-robed men who were silent. Their chi was even more terrifying. Compared to the 7th-level combat emperors, they were a few levels stronger. However, they did not seem to have the intention to interfere in this matter. Your Excellency Long Ao, other than my daughter, the other girls of the Yang residence, the patriarch of the Yang family wanted to say something. Long Ao's eyes were like lightning. His chi was like a wild dragon coming out of the sea. One by one, the shadows of the azure dragon disappeared from his eyes. He raised his hand and violently punched out like lightning. The higher-ups of the Yang family were aghast. They did not expect this person to be so overbearing and arrogant. He attacked just because of a disagreement. Boom. Bang. A shadow of the azure dragon rushed out from the fist. The dragon pierced through the clouds and blasted open the entire hall of the Yang residence. It went straight to the 9th floor and blasted out a big hole. F***CK. I gave you face, but you don't want it. Yang residents, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. This young master will give you one last chance. Are you going to hand her over or not? This daddy has taken a fancy to Yang Qinger. The number of women who want to lie under this daddy can line up from here to the barren state. This daddy has already brought a dragon palanquin here. Asking for your Yang residence's women is already giving you face. Don't be so shameless. Long Ao spat out his saliva in disdain. The elders of the Yang residence were angry but did not dare to say anything. The patriarch of the Yang residence's expression was getting sharper. No matter how bad they were still an ancient family. This fist almost hit the patriarch of the Yang family. What dignity did they have left? Seeing the patriarch of the Yang family's expression change, the combat emperor elder who accompanied Long Ao suddenly narrowed his eyes and secretly circulated his battle chi. Just as the patriarch of the Yang family was about to get angry, two figures rushed into the hall. The youth in the lead waved his hand anxiously. Patriarch Yang, I heard that the Yang family is in big trouble. What's going on? Do you need my help? Everyone turned to look at him. When Long Ao saw the figure of the beauty, he was first happy, then he was furious. Because he saw that the silver-robed youth was actually holding Yang Qinger's hand? Someone beat him to it? Damn it, die. Without saying a word, Long Ao's figure rushed forward like a ferocious dragon out of the sea. When he got close to Lin Chen, he punched out. This time, he used his true ability. The dragon's roar shook the heavens and the earth, and his fist swept through the 4 seas. Unexpectedly, Lin Chen did not even look at him. At the same time that he pushed Yang Qinger away, he waved his hand and the dark calamity battle chi swallowed Long Ao's battle chi. Lin Chen grabbed his fist with one hand like lightning and spun it in the air. Not only did he remove his pure strength, he even flipped his entire body over. Everyone was shocked. Long Ao's punch, even a 4th-level combat emperor would not be able to resolve it so easily. This kid flipped Long Ao over with just a wave of his hand? After flipping Long Ao over with one hand, Lin Chen directly slapped him. Slap. Bang. The slap caused Long Ao to vomit blood and even smashed his head into the ground. Then, Lin Chen calmly stepped on Long Ao's face without looking at him. Poochie. Crack. Crack. The sound of bones cracking could be heard, and teeth flew out. Hiss. Everyone from the Yang family sucked in a breath of cold air. What the F***ck? A lift. A palm. Kick. Like clouds and flowing water. What kind of god was this? He was able to beat the 3rd-level combat emperor Long Ao until he vomited blood. Stepping on Long Ao under his foot, the good youth who respected the old and loved the young asked anxiously from the bottom of his heart. Where's the trouble? Where's the big trouble? Patriarch Yang, say something. You're making me anxious. Where's the Yang family's big trouble? The experts in the hall twitched their mouths. Brother! Big brother! The big trouble is under your feet. His teeth flew out. Chapter 6:11. Yang Qinger covered her red lips with her jade-like hand. She knew that Lin Chen was a combat emperor the last time they met, but she never thought that he would be so strong. That was Long Ao, a third-level combat emperor. He was also a physique refinement emperor with the Azure Dragon bloodline. His potential was close to the same level as the descendant of God. Even in their Yang mansion, he would be considered a top master. Aside from Yang Kai's father and some of the Grand Elders who were extremely old, almost no one could stop him. His real combat strength was close to a fourth-level combat emperor, or at least a third-level late-level combat emperor. Even if Lin Chen was a combat emperor, he was only 21 years old, right? Could it be that he was already a third-level combat emperor at 21 years old? Even the strong warriors who were sitting in the dark couldn't help but twitch their mouths when they saw this scene. This guy was really ruthless. His attacks were clean and neat, without any pause. This kind of combat experience was quite impressive even among the high-level combat emperors. His pure strength is above Long Ao. Suddenly, one of the two gray-clothed men who were sitting in the darkest corner said with a hoarse voice, "Why is everyone so quiet? Don't you trust me?" Lin Chen was even more anxious. He never thought that the person under his feet was the big trouble that the Yang mansion had mentioned. Along the way from the Firmament Tower, Lin Chen had killed countless fourth- and fifth-level combat emperors. In his eyes, a mere third-level combat emperor was just a piece of trash that he could casually kill. How dare you offend the genius of the Long family? Let go of your dog leg. The two sixth-level combat emperors of the Long family were furious. The other 6 combat emperors who came with them suddenly stood up. Rip! A shadow flashed, and the Yang mansion's elder who had been hiding in the dark suddenly appeared. The 6th-level late-level combat emperor swept out and stood in front of the 2 men from the Long family, intimidating everyone. "Everyone, don't tell me that you want to disregard your reputation and interfere in the affairs of the younger generation?" The elder with white hair and a youthful complexion casually said with a smile. This Yang mansion's Grand Elder was naturally one of the higher-ups who knew about Lin Chen's summons. Although he could see that Lin Chen's pure strength was above Long Ao's, the 6th-level combat emperor was 2 completely different levels from Long Ao. In order to protect Lin Chen, he didn't hesitate to show himself, because Lin Chen's potential was worth their gamble. Hee. An old monster of the Yang mansion, huh? However, it's not up to you to make the decision today. A yellow-robed old man who had been sitting beside a few second-level combat emperors walked out slowly with a walking stick in his hand. He looked weak, but when the walking stick touched the ground, the entire Yang mansion shook. The supreme elder of the Yang residence cried out in shock, "7th-level combat emperor?" No one had expected that the Long family would actually send out a 7th-level combat emperor for Long Ao's marriage proposal. Existences of this level were usually experts who rarely appeared in the world. "Brat, raise your dirty feet!" The yellow-robed old man swept his gaze over Lin Chen and flicked his finger. His finger light was like a ray of light that flashed through the void. Whoosh! The finger light tore apart Lin Chen's figure and turned it into nothingness. It was just an afterimage. 7th-level combat emperor. So you guys are the big trouble of the Yang mansion? Lin Chen flashed to Yang Qing'er's side and laughed casually. This speed made the yellow-robed old man squint his eyes and ask, "Brat, who are you?" "Me? I live next door. My surname is Yang. I'm looking for old Yang for something. I specialize in treating infertility, massage and health care. The fee is only 998. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and ignored this old tortoise. "Prince Lin Chen, they are the experts of the Long family," Yang Qing'er whispered in Lin Chen's ears. Her unique voice made Lin Chen's ears numb. She simply told the reason of the matter to Lin Chen. At this time, Long Ao, whose facial features were distorted and badly mutilated, stood up angrily. "So it's like this, Miss Qing'er. It's not a good thing to have a beautiful voice and a beautiful face." Lin Chen played with the beauty's hair and laughed mockingly. Yang Qing'er rolled her eyes at him. Damn it, who do you think you are? How dare you whisper sweet nothings to my Qing'er? Long Ao scolded. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. He had seen people who felt good about themselves and shameless people, but he had never seen such a shameless person. When did she become your Qing'er? Who do I think I am? Which little loudspeaker are you? Lin Chen laughed in disdain. He then reached out and hugged the beauty's soft and slender waist. The moment he hugged Yang Qing'er, he said in a clear voice, I will not change my name when I go down, and when I sit, I will not change my surname. Acting tough is a dragon, people call me Lost Ambition, a big black spear in the waves, the most handsome in the 9 states, Lin Chen of the Spirit State. What kind of name is this? When they heard the last 2 words, Lin Chen of the Spirit State, all the masters present suddenly changed their expressions. Needless to say, the masters of the Long family couldn't sit still. They suddenly stood up. This guy is Lin Chen of the Spirit State? You are Lin Chen? The yellow-robed elder sucked in a cold breath. In the current 9 regions, this name had almost reached the point where there was no one who didn't know about it. Nonsense, who would dare to impersonate me? The most difficult person to impersonate in the world is me. Polish your dog eyes and take a good look. With this handsome face, you can see who can impersonate me. Lin Chen patted his face and laughed shamelessly. Then, his expression changed, and the corner of his mouth curled up, overflowing with arrogance. Yang Qing'er is my woman. I don't care if you are from the Long family or the Dragon clan, I only have one thing to say. F***CKU. Get lost as far as you can. Lin Chen waved his hand domineeringly, and the beauty in his arms trembled. Yang Qing'er raised her head and bit her cherry lip. Her beautiful eyes stared at the side of the young man's face with confusion, and her heart palpitated. That he should have said that, I am his woman. Although it wasn't true, and it was very likely that he wanted to divert the Long family's attention to him, but the moment he said it, she actually wavered. Die. Before the yellow-robed elder could react, Long Ao suddenly pulled out his saber. The 7th-grade saber glowing dragon in his hand was like a blazing sun, hanging high in the sky. Countless dragons roared, and the entire Yang mansion shook. The saber slashed above Lin Chen's head. The power of this saber was comparable to a 4th-level combat emperor. Clang! Rumble! The crisp and hard sound of metal colliding rang. The ground under Lin Chen's feet cracked inch by inch, and the cracks continued to extend like a giant python. The violent battle chi of the Azure Dragon crushed the space crystal wall and turned into a hurricane that swept through the hall. When this terrifying wind was about to overturn the entire Yang Mansion's hall, 100 zhang tall battle chi water screen rose from the surroundings. The violent battle chi and the battle chi that shattered the space surged on the water screen, creating layers of ripples. All the power was absorbed and swallowed by the water screen. When the water screen disappeared, Long Ao, who was at the center of the water screen, held his saber with both hands and slashed at Lin Chen. His saber was still 3 feet away from Lin Chen's face, and it didn't move an inch. Because what blocked his path was Lin Chen's right index finger, which he had casually raised. The tip of his finger was against the saber, and it was flickering with a faint golden light. One finger. He only used one finger to block Long Ao's full-power saber? When all the strong warriors looked at it, their hearts trembled fiercely. How King strong was he? That was a saber that was comparable to a 4th-level combat emperor. No matter how weak he was, he shouldn't be so weak. He only used one finger to block it? No one knew who was the one who sucked in cold air and muttered to himself. Just how tough is he? Oh my God! He's so hard! You're so slutty. Chapter 6:12. To block the attack of a 4th-level combat emperor with one finger, one needed to be at least a 6th-level combat emperor. A 21-year-old youth was comparable to a 6th-level combat emperor? If they didn't see it with their own eyes, no one would believe it. His finger bounced back, and the tip of his finger flipped over Long Ao's blade. The violent and overbearing pure strength made his blade fly out of his hand. Long Ao took a few steps back. His expression was frightened, as if he had seen a ghost. Lin Chen was now at the 3rd level combat emperor, and his cultivation had already surpassed Long Ao. Not to mention that he himself was a monster of a higher level and a higher level. His cultivation was at the middle stage of the 3rd level, and he had over 100,000 points of intermediate metal energy. This caused his metal calamity battle body to reach an indestructible boundary. But in terms of hardness, when Lin Chen activated his metal calamity battle body, his flesh was as hard as a 7th level low-grade weapon. Not to mention that his pure strength had reached 5,050,000 dragon power points. To put it bluntly, Lin Chen could kill Long Ao with just one finger. Lin Chen held the beautiful woman's slender waist with one hand and waved his fist. The fist wind was like a dragon piercing through the world, smashing fiercely towards Long Ao's chest. The force that could cut off the river caused the space crystal wall to sink into a vacuum zone. Clang! Bang! A pitch-black cane stood between the two of them, blocking Lin Chen's fist wind. The water curtain continued to absorb the impact, preventing the hall from collapsing. The 7th level combat emperor elder of the Long family stood not far away from Lin Chen. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and fearlessly took a step forward. This step represented Lin Chen's position. This kid is so overbearing. If that punch hits, the young master will have to die here. The yellow-robed elder squinted his eyes. His vigorous and powerful palm slightly bent. The pure gold battle chi was like a giant ping spreading its wings, overflowing with power. A mere 3rd level combat emperor, what are you pretending to be? You can't do it, so you call yourself old? That's fine too. I've never been afraid of a group fight. No matter if you're old or young, I'll take care of you all today. Lin Chen pulled Yang Qinger behind him and pointed at the 2 6th level combat emperors and all the other combat emperors of the Long family. He said disdainfully, "Just one of you is not enough to defeat me. All of you, stand out. If there's anyone who doesn't agree, carry them out of the Yang residence today." Boom! Just as he finished speaking, 4 beams of divine light descended from the sky. The 4 great clones came out together and stood in 4 directions around Lin Chen. When he saw this scene, the yellow-robed old man who intended to forcefully crush Lin Chen instantly felt his scalp go numb. 4 doppelgangers? Furthermore, each of them gave off an oppressive feeling that was not inferior to the main body at all. This kind of ultimate skill was unheard of. Even Long Ao, who wanted to rely on his family's prestige to suppress Lin Chen, felt his blood run cold. If that punch had landed, he would have died without a doubt. Now there were 4 more? Even someone as strong as his Long family's Grand Elder might not be able to protect him. This time, it was the Long family's turn to be angry but didn't dare to say anything. They had seen Lin Chen's strength clearly. One was already so strong that it was scary. Now there were 4 more? Then there was no point in fighting. The Yang Residence's Grand Elder, who wanted to protect Lin Chen, couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. Protect my ass. This brat's strength was much stronger than his. It was more likely that this brat would protect the Yang Residence. F***CK, are you fighting or not? Give me a quick answer. I'm worth a few 100 million per second. I don't have time to waste with you. Lin Chen's shoulders shook, and his aura further suppressed everyone in the Long family. Talented people are born in every generation. Hee, Lin Chen of the spiritual state, you really live up to your reputation. The yellow-robed old man smiled insincerely. He flipped his palm and pushed the 2 6th level elders with a wave of energy. Today's matter, my Long family has disturbed you. I didn't expect to see the legendary Lin Chen. I admit defeat. The 2 elders hurriedly protected Long Ao, afraid that something would happen to this little ancestor. The yellow-robed old man waved his hand. Let's go. Today's matter, my Long family has disturbed the young residents. F*CKU. Lin Chen punched again. The yellow-robed old man stretched out his hand and slapped out. The fist and palm collided. What are you trying to do? Do you really think my Long family is easy to bully? The yellow-robed old man was furious. So what if I bully you? Didn't you bully the young residents just now? I, Lin Chen, even dared to bully the divine continent's false god soul family. Why can't I deal with your F*King Long family? F*CK. What do you think this place is? Going to a brothel or a restaurant? Leaving after acting cool? Lin Chen sneered. He clenched his fist, and the five-colored dragon energy rotated. He stood proudly with his spear. Leave all your storage rings to me as an apology to the young residents. And that idiot over there who lost his teeth and bled. Yes, what are you looking at? It's you. Apologize to the young residents. You must say it loudly. Say it until I hear you. When this request came out, the expressions of Long Ao and the Long family's experts changed. Leave their storage rings? This was clearly daylight robbery. Roar! Dragon roars shook the sky, and two dragons thousands of feet long soared into the sky. Purple phoenix wings, green dragon body, and four wings spread out high. Rain dragon tail was like a blue sword, domineering and majestic. The yellow-robed old man's pupils shrank. There were actually two dragons above the 7th rank. The most terrifying one was the green dragon that had not broken through the 7th rank. It had purple phoenix wings and rain dragon wings on its back. It was extremely strange. He could actually faintly smell a trace of danger from it. Even the emperors who were sitting in the shadows at the edge of the hall were secretly shocked. They had been in the 9 regions for tens of thousands of years, and had seen many strange things. However, this was the first time they had seen a beast with more than 2 kinds of bloodlines at the same time. And each of them was more terrifying than the other. I've always convinced people with virtue. Those who don't submit are basically dead. How about it? Do you want to try? The 4 clones spread out and surrounded the Long family's people. It looked like they were going to start a fight if they didn't agree. Damn it, how many trump cards does this kid have? The yellow-robed old man was flustered and exasperated. With the 2 green dragons, he didn't have the confidence to protect his young master. If things went wrong, even he, an early 7th rank combat emperor, would lose a few pieces of flesh here. No wonder this kid could actually turn the divine continent upside down. And a few days ago, the energy of the Earth's core exploded in the Dan region. There must have been a shocking change in the divine continent. Their Long family was not to be trifled with. How did they provoke this madman? Even if he had the backing of the Dragon Clan, they couldn't afford to offend him. Even the legendary God family and Hun family were turned upside down by him. Why would he be afraid of the Dragon Clan? We'll hand it over. The yellow-robed old man gritted his teeth and shouted. The Long family's combat emperors looked at each other. In the end, they were extremely unwilling to hand over their storage rings. There was no other way. If they didn't hand it over, their lives would be in danger. Who hadn't heard of Lin Chen's name? This old man who punched the true God mountain and set off the energy of the Earth's core like fireworks. He even put the fireworks of the Earth's core into the legends of the 9 regions. Was there anything he didn't dare to do? If they didn't hand it over, the number of people who could walk out of here alive could be counted with one's fingers. Chapter 6:13. The yellow-robed elder was furious as he threw a bunch of storage rings at Lin Chen. Lin Chen looked at Long Ao, whose face was covered in blood. He was so angry that he was trembling. He personally bowed to the Yang family's upper echelons. Long Ao gritted his teeth and said, "So sorry." Bang! Lin Chen kicked violently, sending a strong gust of wind towards his anus. It was so painful that he cried out, "Did you not eat? F***ck. If you're not full, I'll send you to eat shit later." Louder. "If you don't show some sincerity, I'll break your legs with my next punch and drag you to Holy Pill City to apologize 100 times. Lin Chen lectured Long Ao like an old man. Countless people felt their scalps go numb. Savage. Savage to the extreme. The hundreds of Yang family members present felt like they were in a dream. Long Ao, who was still clamoring about marrying the Yang family's woman, was now beaten to the ground like a pug. In terms of arrogance, in terms of overbearingness, this Long Ao paled in comparison to this Master Lin Chen. Long Ao covered his butt, his mouth trembling as he stood up and shouted, "I, Long Ao, apologize to everyone in the Yang family and Miss Yang Qinger. I'm sorry." Finally, the yellow-robed elder helped Long Ao up. Lin Chen gave them a casual sentence. "If you dare to have any ideas about the Yang family, I'll go to your family or the Dragon Clan next time. I haven't played enough recently, so I'll go set off a few more Earth Core fireworks." The yellow-robed elder's body trembled slightly. When the last group of Long family members left, everyone was still in a daze as if they were in a dream. Many of the Yang family's young geniuses were looking forward to it, and their blood was boiling. What was arrogance? What was a strong person? What was a quick revenge? All of these were vividly portrayed by Lin Chen. "Is there any more trouble?" Lin Chen asked the Yang family members with a smirk on his face. The Yang family head laughed out loud for the first time. "Ha ha, no, there's really no more. Thank you, Lin Chen, for your help. My Yang family can't thank you enough. My daughter owes you a favor." It's fine. If you have any trouble like this in the future, remember to call me. I love helping others solve their problems. Sigh, it can't be helped. There aren't many good youths like me in the 9 provinces. The most important thing is that I'm so damn handsome. Lin Chen sighed with emotion as he fiddled with the storage rings in his hand. Everyone's mouths twitched, his words sounded so righteous, but why did it make people want to beat him up? Against a group of war emperors from the Long family, if it was under normal circumstances, Lin Chen would naturally not be afraid. However, this was the central region of the Yang residence. If there was a large-scale battle, Lin Chen could protect Yang Qinger, but not the entire Yang residence. Therefore, the best outcome was for them to leave after paying the price. When the Yang family head saw his precious daughter staring at Lin Chen, it was no longer limited to the feelings she had before. Instead, it was a face full of affection. He couldn't help but sigh. A grown girl can't be kept at home. "Oh right, Lin Chen, we've gathered all the experts you wanted. Moreover, there's a pleasant surprise." The Yang family head laughed heartily. Then, he cupped his fists towards the corners of the hall. "Everyone, Lin Chen is here. You can show yourselves now." Lin Chen turned his head. Since just now, his spiritual power had faintly detected a profound and powerful spatial barrier in the corner of the hall. Even part of his perception was blocked. Buzz. The spatial enchantment trembled and gradually disappeared, revealing many figures inside. Lin Chen's eyes lit up. Outside the 9 provinces, in the endless starry sky, there were 5 faint stars connected together. In the void between the stars, voices were echoing. The saint heart of the Han family's old man has been broken. The believers he cultivated are stronger than any of us. It was still broken by that kid. What should we do? The boundary-suppressing sacred steel in the 9 provinces hasn't been completely cleared. There's also the firmament tower. If we completely invade it, it's completely unknown. However, if we don't take action now, I'm afraid it won't be long before this kid can threaten our energy saint heart. At that time, it won't be so easy to recover from the injury. Maybe the hundreds of thousands of years of painstaking effort will be in vain. Those guys from the demon tribe won't make a second move. Our saint bodies have only recovered less than 40%. Damn the sacred prison! If we come to the 9 provinces in this state, we may not be able to withstand the bombardment of those boundary-suppressing sacred steels. Forget it. Absorb it. Let's all join forces and absorb all the energy stored in the saint heart. Recover as much as we can. But if we refine the saint heart now, it will take countless years to create an altar to extract energy from the earth core. What else can we do? Wait for that kid to come and mess with our saint heart? Even the family of the Hun family's believers was infiltrated by him. How can our family be spared? Refine the saint heart. Recover as much as we can. Then, change the plan. We don't need to reach 80% of the saint heart before we descend. We don't need to sweep across the 9 provinces in one breath. We only need to descend on a big province first and refine the energy from the earth core with our saint bodies. The efficiency will be doubled. Oh? You mean we should conquer it gradually? Start with a big province first? That's right. Since this kid's appearance has changed our plan, let's abandon the original plan and focus on attacking a big province first. Let's attack the spiritual state. This kid is also from the spiritual state. We'll attack the spiritual state. The spiritual state has the least number of boundary-suppressing sacred steels and can't stop all of us. Since that's the case, it's time to exterminate these ants. After refining the energy of the saint heart, we'll start with the spiritual state. I agree. Attack the spiritual state. In the hall of the Yang mansion, Lin Chun sat at the head of the table. Looking around at the 39 masters present, he nodded from time to time with a satisfied expression. There were many masters. Among them, 30 of them were attracted by Lin Chen's summons. The message sent by the alchemy families of the Dan province was sent out by the Secret Intelligence Network. It wasn't a public announcement. Those who received the message were all people with a certain level of character, strength, and fame. They were considered top-notch masters among their peers. The weakest of the masters who were attracted by the summons was a mid-5th level combat emperor. The strongest 2 of them were far stronger than the 7th level combat emperor. The weakest of the 2 was an early 8th level combat emperor. They might even be stronger than that. Even Lin Chun couldn't see through them. It was terrifying. The most terrifying thing was that one of them was a saber emperor and the other was a sword emperor. Their combat strength was far beyond their peers. The other 9 people were a little special. The strongest among them was a late 4th level combat emperor and the weakest was a late 3rd level combat emperor. However, they had a strong foundation. Moreover, they came to find Lin Chun of their own accord. Because these 9 people were all super geniuses who had obtained the inheritance of the boundary-suppressing sacred steels. They were the last hope of the Jiuzhou continent to fight against the fake god. Of course, they weren't the only ones who had obtained the inheritance of the boundary-suppressing sacred steels. It was just that the others weren't attracted to this place, didn't receive the news, or were in seclusion. These 9 people were also very strong. Chapter 6:14. Ha, Lin Chun, I'm afraid we missed a good show. I saw it very clearly just now. Those guys from the Long family also have a day when they are defeated, ha. It's so F***king satisfying. At this time, 3 old figures appeared like ghosts. They stroked their beards and laughed, not caring about their image at all. They were the 3 alchemists who had hosted the peak elixir meeting. The young geniuses of the Yang mansion looked at the 3 of them with shock and admiration. These 3 were the top alchemists in the elixir prefecture. At the same time, some of the young geniuses of the Yang mansion looked at Lin Chun with amazement. Some of the young female geniuses even had feelings for him. To be able to make the 3 alchemists of the elixir prefecture welcome him personally, one could see how important this young man was. Greetings, seniors. Lin Chun smiled in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. The three of them waved their hands indifferently and found a place to sit down. When the three of them looked at the 9 youngest people in the hall, apart from Lin Chen, their eyes flashed with amazement and admiration. The inheritor of the boundary-suppressing sacred steel was even rarer than the descendants of the fake gods. It's better to meet you in person than to hear about you. Sir Lin Chen, you live up to your reputation. I'm sincerely convinced after meeting you today. At this time, a gentleman in a white robe held a white jade fan in his hand and sincerely saluted Lin Chen. Ah, I like this young man. I enjoyed watching him trample on Long Ao's face just now. The young man with a red giant axe laughed heartily and gave Lin Chen a thumbs up. A young man with a saber in his arms had a grave and stern face. His expression was somewhat cold, but he said a few words as if they were gold. You are affectionate and righteous. It's really fortunate that the 9 prefectures have Prince Lin Chen. The 2 beautiful women stood up and bowed slightly to greet him. This scene attracted the attention of many super prodigies. When had this pair of proud and arrogant twin sisters ever revealed such a feminine side to a man? They had seen Lin Chen's methods and bearing. Only now did they truly know how big this young man's tolerance was. From breaking into the divine mountain, to breaking into the family of fake gods, and then to releasing the energy of the earth core of the fake gods, as the inheritors, everyone knew how difficult each of these things was. It was almost impossible for a single person to do it. The geniuses who could obtain the world-suppressing sacred steel were existences that were 1 in a trillion. How could they not see that Lin Chen's actions revealed some information? Facing his enemies, he was decisive and merciless. Towards his friends, he was magnanimous and sincere, taking the initiative to take care of the Long family's matters. Now that they had met, all of their doubts were dispelled, leaving only admiration from the bottom of their hearts. Everyone, you're too polite. I didn't think that you would take the initiative to help me this time. I can't thank you enough. I'm not someone who likes to owe people favors. As long as you put in the effort, your rewards will be the same as everyone else's. I, Lin Chen, will give you a chance to refine medicine for free. Lin Chen cupped his hands. Everyone looked at each other and smiled. A high-rank Tier 7 alchemist, they naturally would not refuse. Kid, are you really a high-rank Tier 7 alchemist? Suddenly, a hoarse voice questioned. Lin Chen looked over. It was the gray-clothed sword emperor with the most terrifying aura. What's wrong, Fong Ling? You don't trust us? Han Ming, one of the 3 alchemists, snorted in displeasure. Lin Chen didn't mind. He raised his hand, indicating that Han Ming didn't need to be angry. I'm the real deal. Other than high-rank Tier 7 pills, there shouldn't be any pills below the high-rank Tier 7 that can stump me. Lin Chen's light laughter was mixed with the vibration of his mental energy. The vibration of his mental energy caused ripples to appear in the air. All of the combat emperors were shocked. Mental energy of the Heaven Ascension realm. Moreover, among all the alchemists they had seen, there were no more than 5 people whose mental energy was comparable to this kid's. Some of the combat emperors were even seeing it for the first time. The 3 alchemists were also surprised. Lin Chen's mental energy was more condensed and robust than last time. It far surpassed the mental energy of an ordinary Heaven Ascension realm early stage. His growth speed was simply freakish. The geniuses who had obtained the inheritance from the Saint Monument were even more amazed. What a monster! He really was a monster in human form. How could there be such a monstrous figure in this world? A 21-year-old 3rd-level combat emperor who was comparable to a 5th-level combat emperor. In addition, he also had the mental energy of a Heaven Ascension realm cultivator. Moreover, he was a high-rank 7th-level alchemist. They couldn't compare. They would be angered to death if they were to compare. These monstrous geniuses, who had never truly submitted to any of their peers, were now only submitting to Lin Chen alone. Yes, we have no more questions. The other gray-clothed saber emperor nodded slightly. His cold face squeezed out a stiff smile, as if he hadn't smiled for a long time. The upper echelons of the Yang family shook their heads and sighed in amazement. To be able to suppress so many powerhouses, and even those legendary super freaks who had obtained the legacy of the saints, this wasn't something that could be accomplished with just alchemy alone. Only when the strong met the strong, they would always respect each other. Without further ado, let's get straight to the point. Everyone knows our goal this time, which is to fight all the ancient families in the spirit state and quell the internal strife of the spirit state. In terms of battle, everyone must listen to my orders and not act rashly. If anyone violates this rule, I will cancel our cooperation. Lin Chen raised his finger, and everyone nodded seriously. Lin Chen's strength and foundation were enough for them to follow his lead. Because our enemies might not be just the ancient families in the spirit state. Therefore, if there is a special situation that requires everyone to risk their lives, I will allow everyone to withdraw. However, the reward will be cancelled. Of course, if anyone risks their lives for me, I am willing to double the reward. Once these words were spoken, everyone's expression changed again. Double the reward? Doesn't that mean they can refine elixirs twice for free? The temptation of this reward was strong enough. It was enough to make most of the powerful warriors risk their lives. Don't worry about my potion-making skills and foundation. I believe everyone has heard about my performance at the Peak Elixir Association and the Small Elixir Association. Not only can I refine elixirs, but my clones also have the same level of potion-making skills as me. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was first shocked, then puzzled, and finally revealed an unprecedentedly shocked expression. Even the two most powerful saber and sword emperors were the same. The higher-ups and elders of the Yang mansion were also horrified. Yes. Thinking back to his performance at the Small Elixir Association, he broke history by refining elixirs with 9 alchemy furnaces in one go. Lin Chen's clones had the same level of potion-making skills as him. If he had the skills of a level 7 alchemist, wouldn't it mean? The 3 alchemist giants' faces twitched for the first time. Didn't it mean that including his 4 clones and himself, there were 5 of them? 5 level 7 alchemists? F***CK. The 3 alchemist giants couldn't help but curse in their minds. 5 level 7 alchemists, except for the Dan province. No other province could come up with such a lineup. Didn't this mean that Lin Chen alone was comparable to all the top alchemist giants in the 9 provinces, except for the Dan province? Even more than that? F***CK. Not a human. This kid is definitely not a human. This wasn't something a human could do. Han Ming wanted to drink a cup of hot tea to calm himself down, but at this moment, the hand holding the teacup was trembling. For the first time in hundreds of thousands of years, the hand holding the teacup was trembling, and the tea spilled over his crotch. It was as if the waves in his heart had spread across the entire Sahara Desert. He was left with doubts about his life. Unable to drink the tea, he couldn't help but raise his hand to order the maid of the Yang family. Give me an orange. No, give Lin Chen one too. Chapter 6:15. The expressions of the 9 Saint Monument inheritors were extremely interesting. Even with their talents, it was extremely difficult for them to meet a high-rank 7 alchemy giant. They had never heard of a 7th-grade alchemist giant that could fight against 5 alchemist giant. This news of Lin Chen was no longer just at the level of being shocking. This was King horrifying news. This was not a level that a human could reach. The powerhouses who had come for the summoning order were filled with shock and ecstasy. This also meant that Lin Chen did not lack manpower to refine medicine. The 3 alchemist giants took a long time to recover from their shock. They clutched their chests and smiled bitterly. At their age, they could not withstand this kind of shock. 5 7th-grade alchemists, if given enough time, could expand their team by a few times. However, Lin Chen didn't have the time to wait any longer. This also made the combat emperors decide that this time, they would have to put their lives on the line to carry out the order. To be able to invite 7th-grade alchemist giants to refine medicine twice, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's time for us old fellows to retire. Han Ming sighed from the bottom of his heart. The other 2 elders also sighed deeply. As expected of the person who could turn the Han family upside down. He is indeed a legend. The beauty wearing a purple veil slowly spoke. She was also a saint monument inheritor. Then, the experts who came one by one stood up and cupped their fists to pay their respects. They reported their names. As for the 2 8th-grade combat emperors, the saber and sword emperors, the sword emperor was Fong Ling. The saber emperor was Jing Yu. Even the 3 alchemist giants introduced Lin Chen a few more words. These 2 were combat emperors who had been famous for a long time in the 9 continents. The 2 of them were originally opponents, but from the moment they met, they were evenly matched. They fought from the 1st-level combat emperor all the way to the 8th-level combat emperor. After fighting for almost 50,000 years, there was still no clear victor. During the battle, the 2 of them became friends and enemies. At the crucial moment, they would work together. When they worked together, they were invincible under the 9th-grade combat emperor. Even Lin Chen was surprised. This was too extreme. There was still no winner after 50,000 years of fighting? This was the result of several lifetimes of fate. There were only 2 reasons why they had come. The 2 of them were extremely disdainful of the actions of false deities. They had once offended the renowned false deity clans, the Long family and the Hun family. Therefore, when the news of Lin Chen smashing the Hun family's true god mountain spread, they were shocked. On the other hand, they really did have some medicinal pills that they needed Lin Chen to refine. Their admiration and need led them to look for Lin Chen. Not all 7th-tier alchemists could invite a high-level combat emperor. There was a strict corresponding level. 7th-level pills were suitable for the 1st to 3rd level of the War Emperor realm. As the user's strength increased, the effect would gradually weaken or even become ineffective. The middle of the 7th step was suitable for the 4th to 5th level of the War Emperor. High 7th level, from the 6th to the 7th level. Above the 8th level combat emperor was the peak of the 7th level. It was estimated that there were no more than 5 alchemists of this level in the current 9 prefectures. To be able to get the help of the 2 of you, it seems that I am quite lucky, Lin Chen said with a smile. Fong Ling nodded with a cold expression. You are too polite. With your strength, it is only a matter of time before you reach our level. Moreover, we have a request from you. It is a cooperative relationship. All right, since the conditions are more or less settled, if there are no other questions, let us depart. His gaze was as sharp as a sword. Lin Chen's expression became extremely cold. 7 days later, in Tianzhou's Dragon Cry City. Behind Dragon Cry City was Ling Yun Mountain. This was where the Heavenly Song Academy set up a branch. On this day, many students of the academy came and went in the branch. Chi. Rumble. The power that swept across the sky shook the heavens. Many top combat emperors in Tianzhou suddenly opened their eyes. Their expressions were unprecedentedly solemn. A large number of strong warriors have arrived in Tianzhou. What is going on? On Ling Yun Mountain, the Academy's combat emperor elder suddenly woke up. His figure flashed out of the secret room and flew out of the outside world. The sky above the Academy was covered by layers of dark clouds. A powerful spatial barrier covered the entire sky. A group of figures slowly appeared in the sky. The pupils of the Academy's elder who was stationed in Tianzhou shrunk. Among the dozens of figures, the strength of each of them was far stronger than the elder who was stationed in the branch. I am Lu Yunxing, the elder of the Heavenly Song Academy. May I know the purpose of your visit? The elder who was walking in the sky, Lu Yunxing, cupped his fists and asked cautiously. The opponent's strength and formation were too terrifying. In addition, there were many students here. He had no chance to protect the students. The defensive formation that he had set up was useless in front of these people. A mere third-level combat emperor, you are not qualified to know the purpose of our visit. Get lost. The cloaked elder who was the leader flicked his sleeves and sneered. There was no fluctuation of battle chi, but Elder Lu Yunsheng was suddenly struck by lightning. With a bang, he flew hundreds of miles away. Countless students were dumbfounded. This was one of the elders who was in charge of the Tianzhou branch. How could he be so weak? Where did these people come from? Next, those whose names I call, step out immediately. Otherwise, all of you will die. The cloaked elder said coldly as if he was judging everyone's fate. Yun Manqing, Leng Yueqi. Who are you? Step out. When these two names were called, the expressions of everyone in Class 66 changed. Especially Bai Juanhao. He seemed to have realized something. I will give the order 3 times. If you don't speak, everyone will be killed. The cloaked elder's hoarse voice was like an announcement from hell, without a trace of emotion. The expressions of the students became extremely frightened. It's me. 2 crisp voices reverberated. 2 graceful figures stood in the sky. Each of them had their own merit. They were devastatingly beautiful and their temperament surpassed countless women in the mortal world. They were Leng Yueqi and Yun Manqing. If they didn't appear, the entire academy would be buried with them. There was no other choice. You can't go out? Bai Juanhao cried out in alarm, and the cloaked old man's sharp gaze swept over him. Pucci! Bai Juanhao flew backward and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His eyes kept rolling back. Half of his meridians and bones were broken. Oh! As expected of the girl that brat took a fancy to. She does have some aptitude. The other elder in white sneered. The cloaked elder had a hint of killing intent. He reached out a palm from under the robe and grabbed at the 2 girls. Chi! Bang! The 2 girls' delicate bodies suddenly exploded with a muffled sound. Their expressions were filled with despair. Blood stained their clothes and they fainted. Humph! With these 2 girls, I can't let that brat continue to be a coward. The cloaked elder sneered. He flipped his palm and sucked the 2 girls over. Rip! Chi! Bang! The overwhelming battle chi swept across the sky and smashed the spatial enchantment in the outside world. A beautiful figure flashed out and saved the 2 girls. This made the cloaked elder furious. Dozens of figures flashed in the void at lightning speed. Their auras were so strong that they were not inferior to the cloaked old man's side. Who are you? How dare you invade Tianzhou? The blue-haired elder in the lead was filled with thunder. His voice was like thunder as he shouted coldly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.